Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday, and welcome to our first official Clash Royale event of the year. I'm Andrew Guy, joined by Jackson, Juicy J. Wall, and Juice. We're going all the way back to 2017. I think you were like 3 years old at the time. Are you excited about Retro Royale, man?
Yeah, I'm so excited. The nostalgia is there, and I've been waiting for an event like this because I want to see top level pros duking it out with old school Clash. No tower troops, no evolutions. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it. I mean, we've been hearing people begging for it in online. We've heard people talk in person at World Finals. Like, we want to see old school Clash Royale. So we're going to give it to you. And also, you know, normally we give away a lot of money to these competitors at these events, but instead we have rewards for you people watching at home. That's right. We have the OGs, Zoomers versus Boomers. And they're actually doing this just in the good of their hearts, just for Clash Royale and the love of it. Juicy, but what do we have for our viewers?
Yeah, we have 9 total lucky drops. The last one there going to be a guaranteed 4-star. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll get a 5-star. And then we got an emote as well. I actually got like 3 4-stars on yesterday's stream, and one of them had like 10 monks in it. So this is huge.
Dude, I was actually going to say the exact same thing. Of course I was watching your stream. You know I love watching your stream. I saw you pull 8 champions out of that 4-star chest. So that means you guys can get that at home. And like Juicy said, tons of rewards all throughout the broadcast. So make sure you guys are ready. QR codes will pop up on the screen for you guys to scan. And if you're watching on your phone, remember, you can screenshot. When there's a QR code on the screen, you can screenshot it and then look at it in your photos and then go to the link. Now, the format for our competitors. So the good news about this, guys, we've got 10 competitors. You're going to see all of them the same amount today. That's part of this. And the way it's going to work is there's 8 rounds. We have 4 different events that are going to go back to back. So first off, we have a 3v3 best of 1. So what that is, it's going to be Team A, Boomers, Team B, Zoomers. They're going to have 1 player each from each side, or excuse me, 3 players each from each side play 1 game of 1v1 best of 1. Then after that, we're going to have 1v1 best of 3, what you guys are absolutely used to. Obviously, this is going to be different with our Retro Royale cards. Then what I'm really excited about, Juicy, is our 2v2 best of 3.
Yes.
I have no idea what this is going to look like, man. It's been so long since I've watched Retro 2v2. And then, of course, to cap things off, classic King of the Hill. And as you guys can see at the bottom of the screen, each game mode will be played twice. Now, let's meet our competitors. To start things off, we do go age before beauty. We are going to go boom before zoom. And guys, this is really, really exciting. If you look here, you have some of the biggest names ever in Clash Royale. You have world champions. The bottom of our screen there, Ruben, Sergio, and Surgical have all won their respective world titles, whether it was Queso, Liquid, or of course Sergio Ramos doing it back in CCGS. Then you have 2 of the biggest content creators in the world, Goten himself, and of course Pompeo, the master, the creator of the Pompeo deck. But Juicy, can they really stack up against the Zoomers, who are the best in the game right now, although they're playing on the Boomers turf?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. I mean, I think we just got to get out of the way. These are the new gen pros. We have Lucas, Muhammad Light, Pedro, Riley, and Ta. These guys are on another level right now, especially Muhammad Light and Riley and Lucas making it to 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at last year's World Finals. But like you said, this is Retro Royale. Maybe these players aren't conditioned, aren't used to Clash Royale before evolutions, the original 80 cards as well. It's going to be fun no matter what, but I will, a super unbiased caster here, I am going to be rooting for the Boomers here. I think they're a little bit of an underdog here.
Well, Juice, you are not alone. If we check out here on our YouTube chat, we look online at the poll here. 61% of you guys, the poll's been open for 4 minutes. 24,000 of you guys have already voted. It's wonderful to see this many of you guys watching our first Clash event of the year. 61% are going for the Boomers. Now, there's 2 parts of that, right? There's the history, the lineage. Surgical Goblin has been around forever. Morton is still streaming every single day. I see both you guys every single day on my Twitch. But Team Zoomers, as you said, Juicy, obviously maybe at better fighting form as of right now. I got to ask you, you're one of the best players in the game. You're the top US streamer in the world. what is the game like right now in terms of like these old players and the new players playing in Retro Royale? I'm sure that when you're a top ladder, you might run into Morton one game, and then the next game you might run into Lucas. What does it look like on your end, since I'll never be that high up on ladder ever? It's been 9 years and I'm still not even close.
Yeah, Retro Royale, it's really nostalgic. It kind of feels like I don't know, it feels like they have more chances to beat those more difficult matchups. Evolutions, a lot of the time, it does feel like those more difficult matchups become even more impossible. No breakthrough potential if they have that Evo Valken cycle or something like that. So I think that this is going to be kind of just a great event to see what like this level of pros like currently, like how are they going to fight with the old school Clash cards? Because as we know, Clash Royale is a game. Over time, the level of players are going to keep increasing over and over and over again. People always ask me in my stream, would me currently, who is not a pro anymore, beat my previous self back when I won the World Cyber Games? And I say every time I would definitely beat myself back then, because just over time I've gotten so much better, even though I can't even stack up to the pros nowadays. So the level's just up there.
Yeah, you talk about those 10,000 hours, and over the years, you imagine these pros have been putting in 40, 50,000 hours. You know, this has been 9 years now of Clash Royale, so it's absolutely insane to think about the amount of work that you could put in and the amount of work ethic it takes to stay at the top. And talking about work ethic, as you can see, bottom of our screen, two guys that know the name of the game in and out. We talk about work ethic and being at the absolute top of Clash Royale. You have the undisputed GOAT of Clash Royale. I think you could ask anyone in the world who the best player ever was. Mohamed Light there, bottom right hand of your screen. Last time Juicy and I were together, we were hoisting that trophy on the world final stage in Finland. Mohamed Light had just crossed over $1 million won from mobile esports. Surgical Goblin on the other side of it, though. You go all the way back to the Shrine in Los Angeles. You think of that 1 HP game. I'm sure, Morton, I'm so sorry. I hope you don't hear this. But we're talking about Surgical Goblin winning that world championship. He was also the undisputed GOAT of the game, but it felt like kind of as time went on, things changed, right? It went from Surgical Goblin to Ruben to maybe Moogie. All of a sudden, there were these other names getting thrown in the mix, and then it seems like Mohamed Light has firmly taken that. I haven't seen a lot of Momo play lately. You know, it's been a different start to the year than maybe a lot of people were expecting. You know, Retro Royale is a great way for us to see how these guys are feeling. Surgical Goblin, bottom of your screen, starting things off with the Furnace. And just to remind you guys, remember, this is 3 best of 1, so you can see Surgical Goblin will go up against Mo Light, Ruben against Ta, Morton against Pedro, and then we'll move on, of course, to our BO3 of 1v1, 2v2, King of the Hill, and we should get that game sound for you guys coming your way if you're not already hearing it. Juicy, I've been seeing a lot of Royal Giant.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing Retro Royale, I was running Splash Yard, and I played against this Royal Giant Furnace Lightning deck so many times, and I lost every single one of them, and I just started running this deck, and I started winning every game after it. I think this is one of, if not the best deck in Retro Royale, and I don't really know why. It's the Furnace, the RG, I think, is probably the best win condition in the Retro Royale meta, and it's just weird, but it works.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking about it. Why is it that the Furnace is it something with the spells, you know, and then RG coming through? I'm wondering if it has to do with just a lot more with that direct damage at the bridge, the buildings, maybe not as many decks running defensive buildings, but I don't know. I've been running, I mean, obviously, you know me, I've been running Mortar, and there's an old school Mortar matchup that struggles against certain RGs, so I've run into RG troubles here and there, but I've been surprised to see it dominate as much as it has. And Giant, I've seen a lot of Giant too.
Yeah, it's Giant and Royal Giant. It is the Giant retro meta. It's pretty fun, but it can be difficult to deal with. But Mohamed Light's got some good answers here. I'm assuming his last card is going to be a solid building, and he's got that Hunter, that high single target damage to burst down those Royal Giants at the bridge.
Yeah, Hunter Evolution comes out and then gets overshadowed by the Retro Royale coming out, so maybe feeling a little salty there, but still getting some usage here. And then this is something that you also love to see, of these kind of old school minor poison control decks. You know, there's a traditional one with Inferno Tower, E-Wiz, you know, minor poison that B-Rad made famous way back in the day. This is maybe a bit of a facelifted version of that for Mo Light.
Nice pre-log, but the guards are not going to be hit. And then another Furnace on the left side. I like what Surgical's doing with the Furnace. even though poison is the best counter to furnace in the game, he is forcing the poison out kind of defensively on the strong side tower. It's kind of splitting up that miner poison, but he has to break through, right? And I like his attempt here. He's going to go RG in the back, and he's going to try and get to another roll giant to get that dual lane RG push that we know so well.
Yeah, it's so interesting how it has to be set up now, huh, Juice? It's not the same as like, all right, let's cycle our champion in the back. Let's get that 3-card cycle out. You know, you have to do it the old way. You got to put in the work. You have to walk uphill both ways to school, as it were, to get the Royal Giants out. And we do finally see the building come out from, or excuse me, the big spell come out from Surgical in that lightning. And I don't know, Juice, Mo, one of the best cycle players in the world in the game. Is there going to be a way to break through this with the cannon, with the hunter, with the ice spirit and the log? Great ways to keep that RG at bay.
That's a good point. I don't know if the RG will ever hit the tower this game, but I'm not going to lie. Surgical might not need that. The lightning is the best spell in Retro Royale. He's going to continue to get those lightning cycles out. And if he keeps baiting on that poison with that furnace, maybe it will be enough, just the lightning cycle.
Yeah, I was just going to say, doing a good job of making sure that poison is never where Mohamed Light wants it. And then I've seen you do it many, many times before. Actually going to pick up a little bit of a free elixir there with that Ice Spirit being dropped down. And Surgical going for exactly maybe what you're saying, Juice, going for that lightning cycle. But the question is, will it be enough, and will it be enough in time? 55 seconds remain here. Hunter does not get a shot. Surgical has to drop that E-Wiz just to make sure that he doesn't take the extra damage. 1634, 2023. Troubles here for Surgical Goblin.
Yeah, we're in triple elixir. Miner poison really excels here. He's going to continue to spam the miner and the poison, and this is where Surgical really does need that breakthrough. He's placing the furnace to get to the next Royal Giant in cycle. He's trying to use the Electro Wizard plus Baby Dragon Splash to break through left side, but that Hunter, it's so healthy. Here comes another Royal Giant, but there's another Hunter in cycle. The cannon is still on the board. There's only 20 seconds left on the clock.
2023, 11-19, poison at the bridge. Mohamed Light no longer concerned with poisons on the tower. Baby Dragon trying to break through. Hunter up high. E-Wiz there as well. RG has enough time, but is there going to be a cannon plus lightning combo? There it is. High lightning. Good job stopping. Will get one shot? It does. Not enough.
GG's. And Mohamed Light going to take the first game here of our Boomer versus Zoomers kind of creator showdown. This is awesome. I love to see the OG clash. Great plays from both players. But Mohamed Light, he's just doing Mohamed Light things, man. He's got the minor poison. He's got the damage lead. And he's just setting up some very solid defenses.
I gotta say, man, you know, I was just sitting here watching the playback on my other monitors you guys saw as I came back on screen. It's so good to see Surgical Goblin on a competitive, I mean, you know, this is fun, but it feels competitive because we're here casting it. It's so good to see him again. You can see that he cares. He's back in the same spot. It just feels like old. It's so nostalgic. And then, of course, on the other side of it, you see Mohamed Light doing Mohamed Light things. He's the best minor poison control player probably ever in the history of Clash Royale. Sorry, B-Rad, but, you know, things kind of change as time goes on. Juicy, it seems like Mo just kind of stuck with the strategy that works for him in any era of Clash Royale.
Yeah, I mean, if it works, it works. That's the interesting thing about this Retro Royale. I mean, we talked about, you know, are these new gen pros going to be able to play really well with the old school cards? But the real point here is that, yes, they're old school cards, but there's still the new gen balancing. It's not like, you know, it's not like this is actually the 2017 balancing. Mo-Light still knows every single little interaction for the Hunter, for the Cannon with the Ice Spirit, and with it or without evolutions, he's going to get that job done.
I know it's funny when you go back and you play, if you've been playing for as long as, you know, you and I have, even just playing in Retro Royale and then seeing the Rage do damage, you're like, wait, that's not how it used to be. So game one in the books going to Team Zoomers. And for the 35,000 of you guys watching right now on the YouTube chat, and for every other platform that you guys are watching on, remember, we will have those rewards in just a little bit. Of course, those QR codes will be on the screen every 30 minutes for you guys to get all those lucky drops. And of course, the emote. We all love emotes. I mean, after you've maxed out your account, what else is there to really do other than collect every single emote there is in the game? I love seeing seeing top pros. You guys have like 30 pages of emotes. It's so fun to scroll through. And talking about top pros, man, Ta and Ruben. This is a true blast from the past match in the sense of we haven't seen much of Ruben at all in the competitive scene online. Like, I don't know about you, Juice. I know you're a little more tapped into the scene than I am in terms of like speaking and conversing with active pros and maybe old pros. Do you have any idea where Ruben's been, what he's been up to? Has he been playing a lot? You know, he hasn't been as quiet as some people think. He did show up in some world finals a little bit later on in his career after Queso won, but I haven't seen really much of him the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's like I've seen him, like I've commentated, it's like some of his matches, like trying to qualify for CRL, and he gets pretty far. But, I mean, when you're going against people like Ta here in game number 2, it's pretty tough. Ta, you know, one of the best players in the game right now. We'll see Ruben using one of my favorite OG decks, Splash Yard here versus Bait.
Yeah, this is a fun one. I mean, this is a classic old school matchup here. Juicy, I'm sure you were very, very happy. Whoa. Excuse me. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Nightwitch coming down in the back, and of course, still going to look like Bait here from Ta. Nightwitch plus Bomber. This is looking more like, is this looking like Giant GY or just maybe Giant? What do you think this is, Juicy?
I think it's Golem. I've seen this Golem deck. It's actually interesting. There's a lot of decks that kind of look like Splash Yard. You have the Ice Wiz Tombstone Tornado combo in Golem, in a Roll Giant deck that I like, and also in Splash Yard. So yeah, this should be a good Golem Lightning deck, but the problem here for Ruben is that he doesn't have Log, and there is no Barbarian Barrel in Retro Royale, which kind of gives Bait maybe a little bit of an edge.
Yeah, we've been seeing a ton of Bait in Retro Royale, and you saw Ruben get pretty lucky there with the Tombstone coming out, or let's not call it luck. I mean, this is a world champion, as you guys can see on the right-hand side of the screen, dominating 2020 finals, taking home the MVP and the championship, and of course getting 6th place in 2023. Does he get the King Tower activation? He absolutely does, but anyway, all of that to be said, very nice Tombstone to catch that first Goblin Barrel out from Ta, but Ta doing the same recognition as you. Juicy probably moving forward, not going to let that happen once again. Even with the King Tower activated, Ruben here just slightly behind and doing a great job here in single, making sure that the gap doesn't get too wide.
Yeah, I like the Tombstone here from Ruben. It just kind of prevents the princesses at the bridge. And look at that, Ta actually going to predict the ice, prediction of Ice Spirit on the Ice Wizard, and using the can to keep that princess going. And once again, there's no small spell here. He has to use a tornado, but then the Gob Gang and the Goblin Barrel are going to have their fun.
Yeah, Ta doing a really good job of keeping up the pressure here, making sure that, you know, Ruben can't build up that push that he wants. Now decides to go Tombstone in the back. Juicy, is there a point when Ruben's just going to have to eat a lot of damage, soak a lot of damage? Is this maybe it right here to get a Golem in front of these two cards?
Wow, I mean, you called it. Golem at the bridge here. I think he found his moment, his window to try and get a Golem down. And that's kind of what this matchup's about, right? You can't... Oh, wow. Okay, nice rocket. Wow. I can't believe
the bat,
that hit everything.
though. I mean, not a huge deal. The bat does get the princess off the board, but yeah, really, really nice rocket there from Ruben, cleaning up everything. Skelly's piling up on the right-hand side. We know that's not really going to do anything. 2097, 26-34. Now Ruben's kind of shown his hand in the way that he's going to be able to get pushes together, right? Juicy feels like it's going to be kind of defend barrels, see if that defense from the barrel can turn into a counter push, and then if not, looks like he's going to go opposite lane here with the Golem into his weaker tower.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I mean by trying to find the correct window. He goes for the Golem back here, but Ta with a really well-timed pressure at the bridge, and it's just a lot of damage. The question is, can he get any damage going on offense? And I don't know if it's going to be possible versus this rocket. Rocket drops down, takes out most of the Golem HP and that big dragon, but we do have a second Golem at the bridge here, Andrew.
Second Golem at the bridge. Princess so far behind in no man's land. No way to get through. Does the Bomber? No, Bomber not able to connect. Nice, perfect timing there from the gang from Ruben. Now just going to try to get some death damage and clear everything off the board with that Golem explosion. 21:57, 14:24, and only 70 seconds remain.
Yeah, we have 5 seconds here until triple elixir as well. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like the Golem can do good in triple elixir, but once again, you're going against that rocket. The rocket cycle could ensue at any point here in triple with the defensive capabilities.
And Todd doing a really good job of recognizing, look, you can reach over the river here. That's the biggest threat for you to get on top of my princesses.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to NATO every time. You're going to want to go Baby Dragon up high. Ideally, probably Baby Dragon every single time, because then the Baby Dragon can still work towards that golem push. But Ruben right now just kind of hamstrung by some great defense. Rocket out left-hand side. And now another golem down right.
I just think these rockets are perfect from Todd. He has not missed a single unit, and he even hit the golemites there. He's trying to break through with the Baby Dragon. Ice Wizard
Baby Dragon!
Wait!
Baby Dragon!
Baby Drag does get retargeted by the Ice Spirit. He needs to get a Knight down. Princess trying to help from the left-hand side. Can he defend while also getting a rocket off? He does get the rocket off, but
I think he's going to get it, Juicy. He's going to get back on top.
It's on the tower. The lightning drops, and Ruben with the comeback. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe he won this game.
Boomers, boomers. Dude, look at that beard. Look at that mustache coming from Ruben, too. I mean, we talked about booming up. That's amazing. Love to see the W. And that's exactly what Ruben used to do, right? Play clean, smart, methodical Clash Royale, wait for his moment, and break on through. You and I both, I'm sure Top maybe even got lulled into a sense of false security there. It just felt like he had things locked down. Felt like those princesses were causing way too much trouble. Rocket was kind of a get out of jail free card, but Ruben doing Ruben things, man. We're tied at 1. I love to see it.
I mean, the most difficult part of that match for Tall was just right at the end there when he knew that lightning would allow Ruben to get the damage lead. So a lot of people in the chat were probably like, oh, he sold with that rocket. The point is that he had to play rocket. He needed to get damage at the end there, or else the lightning would have just won Ruben the game, since it's instantaneous and the rocket takes 4 seconds to get to the tower. But it was just impossible to rocket on offense and also defend that push. It's almost like you had to choose one or the other.
Yeah, Ruben, I mean, that's the name of the game when you're playing against Ruben, right? He used to always make you make decisions that would put you in a wrong spot. And that's kind of what happened there. There was a little bit before the end of the game there where we saw that rocket come out defensively on the left-hand side. Same time that came down for Ta, the second golem came down for Ruben on the right-hand side. And then, as you know, Juice, sometimes when you have those big beatdown decks, if your opponent's low on elixir, just pile things on at the bridge. And those Baby Dragons did such a good job cleaning up all the small troops that Ta would normally use to distract. And of course, that Knight, you're like, he's got to get a Knight down, but the DPS was just too much. So Ruben able to take game number 2, blast from the past. So Boomers at 1, Zoomers at 1, and of course we have one more game here in our best of 1v1s. And also the other thing that we needed to mention in the format is that every single one of these games in the best of 1 are all worth 1 point. Then moving forward, best of 3s will each be worth 1 point. And then in King of the Hill, those games will be worth 1 point as well. So the thing that you guys are thinking about is points. We're going to see a lot of our competitors the exact same amount today. And of course, the rewards. I already see people talking about the rewards over on YouTube. Now, I'll put the QR code on screen. Why are these guys talking so much? It's really nice to be back. I missed you guys in the chat. And don't worry, those QR codes and those rewards will be coming your way in just a little bit. Juicy, we are now 4 decks and 2 games into our Retro Royale weekend, our Boomers versus Zoomers. And what have you noticed so far from an analyst's point of view?
I've kind of noticed that it seems like the Boomers are going for a little bit more of a beatdown, like lightning, like roll giant lightning or golden lightning type of thing. And it seems like the Zoomers are going for kind of stuff that they're more comfortable with the cycle. We get the minor cycle and a bait cycle so far. And it looks like Morton's going to flip the script a little bit here, though. We have a double cycle matchup. We have Minor Poison versus what looks to be a Hog Rider, Mini P.E.K.K.A, maybe Rocket deck. It could have Rocket, it could have Fireball from Morton.
And yes, finally, someone has come to their senses and run Mortar here in Retro Royale. We love to see it. So Morton going with Hog Princess. I think this is that mini P.E.K.K.A deck, right?
Yep.
This deck is actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then top of your screen here, Pedro going with some version of Minor Poison Mortar, which you know warms my heart. Goes with Hunter, even though there's been a Musketeer version that's been a little bit more popular.
Yeah, here comes the Hog Rider to the left side, and he does get the Mortar down. I love to see Pedro. I mean, I don't know. I know Pedro is considered a Zoomer here in this tournament, but I love to see Pedro using old school Minor Mortar Poison. This is what it's all about, guys.
Yeah, I mean, this is what worked out for Muhammad Light. Pedro's kind of running his own version of it. He's got Mortar out. We all knew that Pedro was obsessed with Mortar the very first time we saw him at World Finals. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, this is two of the guys in the game that are running their comfort decks, obviously with a little bit of a, let's see, going back in time. I always like to say, like, moving forward. But yeah, definitely going back in time here. And we'll see how things stack up. Morton obviously going to have some issues with this Mortar on defense.
Yeah, I think it's really going to come down to what his last card is from Morton. I mean, it could, like I said, it could be Rocket or it could be Fireball. I don't know. I feel like he kind of needs a Rocket. I think that Rocket Cycle might end up being like a main win condition here. Since Pedro has a quicker cycle and that Mortar, like you said, it could be very difficult to break through with the Hawk.
So Mini P.E.K.K.A on top there. Ice Spirit to distract. Now Mortar should get on top of that right-hand tower if it doesn't lock on the Mini. Mini perfectly placed, and then the Ice Golem comes down. Nice to see Morton on top of those interactions. And Princess to clean up the Mortar plus Hunter? No.
Wow, but the Mortar shoots at the Ice Golem that was already gone. I'm sure that you can attest to how annoying those interactions can be. But yeah,
absolutely.
Like you said, Morton is really on top of making sure these Mortars never connect, and it's almost like a Mortar versus Princess matchup here. I really like how Morton is defending and making use of that Princess as much as possible.
And there you go, Juicy. You talked about it before. Lightning being the best spell in Retro Royale has been being used a lot today. It's been a lot of Lightning, a lot of Poison. And of course, we did see Rocket. I mean, now I'm just starting to list every spell in the game that is available, but Lightning definitely the favorite.
Yeah, I didn't expect the Lightning here, but I actually think it's better than the Rocket. It synergizes better with the Hog Rider to try and break through versus the Mortar, but also, like we talked about, it's just instantaneous damage. And after like the Rocket's tower damage nerf that happened, I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago, I don't even remember, the Lightning does pretty similar amount of damage.
Morton once again doing some nice stuff with some 1 and 2 elixir cards as he's done in his career. Ice Golem at the bridge, maybe get a Hog behind it here. There's the Hog Rider. We'll see a Mortar maybe on defense from Pedro up high. Nice.
And the Lightning does drop. It's going to hit the Mortar the Knight. Hunter does drop down, but the Lightning damage is there. This is very close. It's anything can happen.
And gonna have to get that log out for those Skellies. 2187, 2177. Princess to soak up the Mortar shot. You never want to have to do that. And that Mortar, I don't think it's on tower. I think it should be on the Ice Golem. And there it is, yes.
And Morton's just trying to make sure there's always something on the map to make sure the Mortar doesn't lock. But that's the thing, that Pedro knows like how exactly to play a matchup like this. He's not only playing that Mortar to get damage, he's doing it to distract his opponent from going on offense while chipping away with the minor poisons. It's almost like there's 3 win conditions in Pedro's deck.
And so much elixir being spent at the bridge by Pedro, doing a great job of making sure Hogs can't break through. You saw that preemptive Hunter come down 2 Hogs ago. And like you're saying, Juicy, those Mortars up high, baiting out the Mini P.E.K.K.A so that now the Miner can only be picked up by the Skeletons or not picked up at all, picked up late. Great stuff there from Pedro. You can see the frustration on Morton's face. And there we go. Zoomer's going to take 2 of the 3 first few games here. Surgical and Morton not able to pick up their respective BO1s, but Ruben doing a great job with the last-second win over Ta. And we just watched Surgical Goblin, Molite, Ruben, Ta, Morton, and Pedro play in the first 3 matches of the day. And I am just so happy to be here, Juice.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I just want to point out one more time, though, that match was so clinical by Pedro. I don't know if you guys noticed at the end there, but Pedro was using that Mortar not only on offense, but also pseudo defensively by placing in the middle of the map. Not only, since it is slightly to the left side there, is the Lightning not able to hit that Mortar in the tower, but he continued to use his Skeletons every time to push Morton's Hog Rider over to that Mortar. So Morton had no option on offense. The Hog Rider couldn't break through because the Skeleton pushed the Mortar. He can't play Lightning on tower because there's literally nothing to hit it with unless you just go for the tower. But at that point, then the Mortar is just going to break through and you're not going to have enough elixir to defend. That was just insane gameplay from Pedro.
I mean, that's what I love about Retro, and you know, these skills still translate to the game right now on Path of Legends. Yes, the cards might look a little bit different, but exactly what you're talking about, Juicy, recognizing the situation there from Pedro, which we know he's so good with Miner Poison and Mortar, and doing all the things correctly, varying up spots for the Miner, then just sending it to the back over and over. That way a unit in the middle couldn't, like a P.E.K.K.A, if he play, or a mini P.E.K.K.A, if he played it just low enough, and let's say Ruben went high and inside with his Miner, P.E.K.K.A could distract the Mortar and still get on top of the Miner, but he kept going to the back. Just brilliant stuff throughout. Early Hunters up high. Even the Hunters were used to push the Hog over. Like you said, perfect Mortar placement. And Morton just in a really tough spot. I mean, I like that deck that he's running. It's a super fun deck. I used to play it way back in the day, but you do run into issues of being able to get damage on tower. And then, of course, like you said, Juicy, those lightning, the value from it, making sure that there is not too much value coming through on those lightnings. And here we go. We love seeing people in the chat guessing what the code is, guessing what they need to type. You don't need to guess anything, guys. Every 30 minutes, there's a QR code. Like I said, if you're watching on your phone, you're trying to figure out, what do I do right now? Screenshot, then go into your photos, and you can open the link from there. If you're watching on your, let's say on your TV or on your computer screen, you can just hold your phone up to the screen. QR codes. Look at that. We didn't have those when we first started playing Clash Royale, Juice.
Yeah, first QR code is out. After you guys open your lucky drop, type in the chat. What did you get? Was it 1 star? Was it 2 star? Did you get some wild cards, or did you get like 300 Three Musketeers or something ridiculous?
Yeah, those are always the sad ones, huh?
When you get like 5 bar putts, it's like, maybe next time. We got more lucky drops to go. 9 total lucky drops today. Next time will be in 30 minutes. That next lock will be unlocked for y'all.
I gotta say, on my secondary account, I was trying to max Goblinstein forever. It just took me for some reason. I was just never getting wild cards, and then golden. The what are they called? Golden wild cards, the highest level ones.
Yeah,
champion wild cards.
The champion wild cards. Yeah.
And then whenever I was getting champions from chests, it was never the Goblinstein. But the other day, I opened up a 4-star chest, and just like you yesterday on stream, I got 7 Goblinsteins. 7 Goblinsteins from a 4-star chest. So guys, you can see right there, we got a 4-star coming your way, and of course the emote at the end of the day. We got 3 stars, 400 goblins. Some guy got 4 stars and 74 expos. I feel like you got scammed, man. We got 4-star with 41,000 gold. That's not too bad. So we got some elite wild cards. 4-star, 7 little princes.
Okay, you see, that's what, like, I think sometimes 4 stars are better than 5 stars. Because every time I open 5-star, it's either a common or a rare book. And I'll take the rare book. No, I'm not gonna lie. But the common book, it's like, I think I might like have rather maybe like 8 champs. Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Some guy said 9 bombers and then just put a sad face. Yeah, not awesome there. Great call, Juicy. I love actually seeing all these rewards in the chat. And of course, guys, I just saw a bunch of you leave the stream. Don't be fools. This is just the first reward. There's so many better rewards coming your way. And as you saw, a guaranteed 4-star. We got a lot more matches coming your way. We got a lot more and better rewards coming your way. So don't change that dial. That's what boomers used to say. Do you guys know that? That's what we used to say when we were talking about changing the channel on TV. So anyway, I'm just going to keep dating myself here, Juicy, as we're moving on to our best of 3. So guys, Surgical Goblin going up against Ta. This is a 1v1 best of 3, and there you go, QR code on the screen for those that maybe are a little slow on the draw.
And I know some of you guys might be here for those lucky drops, but let's be real. What the real ones in the chat are here for is this gameplay. We have log bait mirror matchup. Ta versus Surgical Goblin Retro Royale. This is about to be insane, Andrew.
Yeah, I love to see this. And Juicy, this I mean, it might be like, this is actually something I was really good at in 2017 was miscalling decks. But Ta, maybe, do you think Ta here is running big spell and then Surgical's running no spell because we see the Dark Goblin?
I think that's right. I think usually when I see Princess and Dark Gob in the same deck, I don't expect a big spell. Yeah, I'm assuming Surgical's last card would be a building, and then...
Oh, wow.
Okay.
It is a building of sorts.
Yeah, we do have a cannon card instead of the normal cannon. I kind of like that. I think that's going to give him maybe a slight edge in this matchup. It's just going to make it so that he has one more card that you have to worry about on offense.
Dark Goblin going to meet the Princess up here. Knight to block. And...
Nice defense. Nice ghost as well for the Princess. But the Princess first attack speed rework kind of allows that one hit there. That was actually pretty insane.
25-30 to 28-83. Surgical Goblin in the lead just by a bit, but looking pretty clear to us watching that is a most likely a Lightning as the last card here for toss. So Surgical Goblin is technically in the lead, but not if you count spell power.
Yeah, Lightning Rocket. I mean, who knows what this last card can be. I mean, it's going to come down to some solid defense from Ta. I mean, I believe this is the same deck that he played in his first match.
Yeah.
He did lose just barely versus Ruben with that Golem deck, but in this situation, Surgical doesn't have that breakthrough power once it gets a triple.
Nice job here by Surgical, just doing what he can to not use logs against barrels. We've heard that so many times over the years. When you're in these bait mirror matchups, what you really want is to have that log for anything other than the barrel, whether it's a Dark Goblin, whether it's a Princess, whether it's Goblin Gang, maybe piled up around your opponent's Princess Tower. And good damage there from Surgical on both sides, Juicy. 22-22 and 24-10, the two lowest towers on the board, both belong to Ta.
I'm so glad you said that. I don't know why. I never kind of really, like, thought about that, but it's very similar in Splash Art as well. You don't want to use your poison on defense versus the graveyard. You want to find ways to defend so you can counter push and use your poison offense. And I never registered in my mind that would be similar in log bait, but that's exactly what Surgical is doing. I mean, speaking of like kind of the boomer playlist here, I mean, Surgical was the greatest of all time before Muhammad Light kind of took that scene, and he was always been really known for log bait, so I'd love to see him playing this deck.
Yeah, I mean, you took all the words out of my mouth there. Surgical playing Comfort, doing it, you know, here against one of the best zoomers in the game. Also taught a really, really good log bait player. And yeah, Surgical was always just a guy. Him and Morton were just so well known for their small interactions, although Surgical getting out-cycled there by Ta. Princess gets on tower as well. Now Princess just a little bit early gets on top of the cannon. Cannon to catch again. 17-48, 24-10, and Surgical Goblin just slipping a little bit there mentally.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how quickly things can shift. We have Surgical trying to take back the advantage, but the cannon card is not going to be able to make it to the tower, even with the Goblin push. Princess cleaning up decent on defense. There's only 30 seconds left, though.
And one Goblin gets through. Goblins to the front of the tower there. Royal Ghost can only hit 2 at most. Now you see Surgical with a little bit of frustration on his face, recognizing this is slipping. 21-67, 16-28. Log comes out defensively for Surgical. Tries to get a big push here on the right-hand side. Those cannons putting in work for Ta.
Barrel through, but the logs and cycle. Gang trying to break through on the left with the Princess as well, but the Princess and the cannon defensively for Ta is going to get the job done. Surgical calls the good game. He doesn't have a big spell. Ta with the classic sip of the water after taking the victory.
That's right. That's right. His calling card, if you will, and taking game number 1 there. Surgical Goblin completely in the driver's seat for most of that game. And then as soon as he got out-cycled on that one barrel juice, all things kind of went awry. And, you know, Ta there with the 7-card win, not even having to use the big spell there. Now, where did things go wrong for Morton? You know, was it the cannon card? Was it actually getting that 5 elixir card out where we saw Ta never spend his 6 elixir card? Was it just some elixir mismanagement? Was it a miscalculation of cycle, or was it a kind of a combination of all of it?
I maybe would have to see the replay, but I'm pretty sure, like, when that main Goblin barrel that Ta got down for that damage, I think that Surgical had enough elixir for the Gob Gang. I don't know if it was lag or a misclick, but that Gob Gang didn't get down in time. That barrel, all 3 of the Goblins just started hitting that tower, and from that point, Ta just went full defense mode. He had the damage lead, and he knew that Surgical didn't have a big spell. He just locked down the defense. The Goblin barrels, the Princess at the bridge, they weren't breaking through anymore, and at that point, it was over. Surgical not only needed to keep the offense, but he needed to make sure to never lose that damage lead.
Yeah, when you don't have direct tower damage in a mirror matchup, things can get or a mirror-ish matchup, things can get really, really tough. You know, if things slip just a little bit, just a hair in the beginning. I mean, I'm so used to this in Hog EQ matches because the Hog EQ is a deck that I also run a lot. If you miss one of those buildings early on, yes, you can come back from it, but it can just be a horrible uphill battle. And the Surgical Goblin having to reset immediately. Remember, guys, this is a best of 3, 1 point being given out here to the respective winning team. And kind of an interesting minor there.
Yeah, is this, I mean, well, I know that Surgical is running some Giant here, but it kind of looks like Pompeo Balloon, from Ta, which is really interesting. Also, I'm very surprised it's the first time we're seeing Giant. I think Giant's got to be the most popular kind of Retro Royale deck right now, but I really like Ta's kind of, what would be the right word? The response to that, I guess. I mean, look, Surgical Goblin, he just calls the good game because this deck only has Megamine for air defense, but Ta has the Inferno Drag, the Megamine, and the Balloon for offense. And look at that.
A beautiful start here for Ta. The double zap coming out, one defensively early, then late from Ta. And Juicy, I mean, you pretty much called it from the beginning, saying that this is going to be a Balloon deck. Surgical has a lot of elixir off the left-hand side. Mega Minion, the only great defense. No building, no NATO. Lightning on defense. Ta does exactly what you have to do when you see your opponent overspend. Not only was Surgical already bled dry, then he goes for the negative elixir trade. Lightning against the Balloon after the damage comes in. GG, well played, and good luck, as Surgical Goblin used to say.
Yeah, but this is why I love Surgical. Look, his face expression has not changed. He still has a mission to do. He's not giving up. He's going to go all in. Here comes arrows on the Tombstone. He needs to play Zap on that Inferno Drag. Miner coming out on defense from Ta. Giant does get the tower, but that Inferno Drag is a menace. The Zap or the Lightning can always stun that Inferno Drag, but it will never fully take it out.
Yeah, and just having the Mega Minion to get on those air cars, and then what? You're supposed to go Lightning plus arrows to take out the Inferno Drag. You just spend 9 elixir on 4, and then hope that you get something else. And of course, these Tombstones absolutely devastating. I mean, the map control. There's so many skeletons. There's so many Inferno Dragons on the board, and 2705. Dark Prince is going to get a charge here. 2209, and that's pretty much going to be all she wrote. Is Surgical goes sellout push on the right-hand side, Inferno to Kite. And that is going to be a very, very quick best of 3 here for the Zoomers. Ta, 2 up, 2 down very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, not only the Furnace, but I'm also very, kind of confused about the Tombstone, but it's true. The Tombstone is used so much in the Retro game mode, whether it be in Roll Giant decks, Golem decks, or now we've seen Pompeo Balloon. And every single time we see the Tombstone, it's getting value, especially versus that Prince.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at what's available in the game to deal with Tombstones, Juicy, there's not a lot of great responses, right? The big spells obviously will take care of it, but all of them are gonna be a negative trade. Earthquake is not in the game yet, so it's really interesting to see how that's working. I really like to see how many times the Tombstone has been super effective today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I didn't register, but there is no Earthquake in the game. So, I mean, whether you have the Lightning, I mean, the only other really good option is like Poison, but it seems like that's probably why that Furnace and that Tombstone is being used so much, because we see Hog Earthquake so much competitively. It's always being used by Muhammad Light, but now without that Earthquake as an option, we haven't seen a single Hog today, and I don't know if we will, because we did see one with the Lightning.
We saw the one, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know.
But it didn't work well.
Yeah,
I mean, let's be honest, right?
Didn't seem great, honestly.
Yeah. Looks like Earthquake was released in 2019, April 15th of 2019. So a couple years here in the future, still waiting on that Earthquake are all the Hog players. It was really just that deck we saw from Morton. And I guess we would see some Hog Mortar. We saw Igor get to the top of Retro Royale pretty early on. I think day 1 when it came out with Hog Mortar. But Hog EQ does not exist yet. It was just a lot of 2.6, and I can't imagine we'll be seeing too much 2.6 today. I'm curious if we'll see any 2.6, curious if we'll see any Expo. These are things that have been doing well on Retro Royale ladder, but as we know, Juicy, those types of decks don't always translate well when you're playing against the best in the world. And talking about the best in the world, there's a reward at the bottom of the screen for you guys that are watching at home that want some rewards. But we go into 2v2 next. I'm so curious to see what we're going to see on the teams here, man. You have to imagine we'll see Morton, I would think, on the Boomers side, right? One of the best 2v2 players in history. Do you see, since we don't know what the rosters are, at least I don't think we do, what would you put together? Keeping in mind that, of course, Ta and Surgical have both played 2 of the sets already, so we're probably going to have to go elsewhere in terms of our talent pool. What's your 2v2 here?
I'm not sure about the players, so I'm kind of changing your own question against you, but I'm actually interested in what kind of 2v2 decks we're going to see. I don't know. I've played a lot of 2v2 ladder, but of course, that's with the evolutions. And I think that without the evolutions, we're going to see some really like OG 2v2 stuff. I wouldn't be surprised to see some double RG, some double Lava Hound. I think that without the evolutions, it's going to be like way more balanced, if you will.
Yeah, I'm so curious. I mean, when we think back to what CRL looked like in 2017, 2018 times, it was a lot of beatdown. NATO was in the game, like a lot of NATO lightnings, NATO poisons, NATO rockets, things like that. It was a lot more leaning on the big spells than it was small spells for some reason in 2v2. I'm really curious, and I guess we're about to find out. Here we go. Mo and Lucas, Pompeo and Sergio Ramos. And Pompeo, we haven't seen yet today, almost forgetting because we've just seen so much of the same in our first 2 sets. But this makes a lot of sense. Super excited about this one. And a very aggressive RG at the bridge. Other side of it makes a lot of sense. We got Pompeo on the screen. Might as well go to the skies.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. This is OG 2v2 like we just talked about. We have double RG versus probably a double lava deck. There's going to be a lot of reliance on those big spells like the poison and the lightning. I mean, this is amazing, Andrew. I mean, you used to commentate a lot of OG 2v2 back in 2018 and 2019. I mean, tell me about it. Like, you probably know way more about this than I do.
I mean, I've just got a huge smile on my face right now. I mean, we're seeing Royal Giant Skeleton in 2v2. We got Lava Hound with some miners and all the spells to clean up all the support troops. Like, this is exactly what we used to commentate back in the day. And now it's just going to be about who can put it together better. I mean, as of right now, Lucas and Mo getting good damage on that right-hand side. The synergy of the decks on the bottom of the screen, though, feel a little bit better to me at the moment. But 2 Giant Skeletons, as we've seen in 2v2 in the past, can really kind of kill every push at the bridge. I mean, that was why Giant Skeleton came into the 2v2 meta, was there was so much beat down in 2v2. Giant Skeleton just stopped it all, killed it all on the vines. So we'll see how effective that is here.
Oh, but we see this lightning drop down, and all of a sudden, all the air defense is gone. And right side tower, left side tower drops. The right side is taking damage too, though. The RG's on the tower. The graveyard is trying its best, so we kind of see a pseudo tower trade dropping down. Yeah,
decent counter push, though, coming in here from the Boomers. Bottom of your screen, though. Nice arrows to clean things up. Giant Skeleton, 766, and then, of course, 1 tower down for the Zoomers. And Juicy, while the Boomers are in the lead, this doesn't feel very safe at the moment.
Yeah, 766. I mean, as long as there's a couple nice big spells that can drop down, I think that they definitely will take this tower. I think what Sergio and Pompeo will have to do is they have to realize that, and they have to try and set up their next push to get a damage advantage on the right side. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe with the tornado, they just defend this. Is it possible? There's only 20 seconds left.
Wow. That's it. I mean, I was in the same boat as you. I was thinking the building is out early on. Oh, the freeze! And you can see Pompeo knows they just got. Not expecting the freeze. A great 7th card, not even 8th card from the top of the screen there. So freeze comes in, takes the tower, and now all of a sudden I feel, gosh, this is such an interesting matchup now because the Giant Skeletons are really going to make these lava pushes be ineffective. You can see the Giant Skeleton coming out early, but as you know, Juicy, once 1 tower is down, Graveyard not quite as effective, although this is 2v2, so it is a little bit different than 1v1 Graveyard 2 tower situations.
And we got a double lava on the board, the double, maybe triple dragon. The tornado drops on offense. The tornado drops on defense. I can't really tell what's going on, but overall great defense, stopping the dragons with the cannon tank there. I think it is now Lucas and Muhammad's time to try to make that counter push.
Look at how much fun everyone is having. Look at all the faces of these competitors, man.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about. This just brings me so much joy. Lumberjack RG in the pocket. Need to be ready for those RGs in the pocket, getting 2-3 shots in. 21-31 to 24-35. And a Lava Hound comes down to try to control the board just a bit.
And the double Lava Hound, Giant Skeleton going to try to tank for everything like you've mentioned. I like the spreading out of the Wizards to prevent value, but that also means that the Electro Wizard on the left hand side is susceptible to attack. And we just see tornadoes, freeze, spells dropping everywhere. It's this absolute chaos on the 2v2 board right now. And we see a counterattack.
Pompeo and Sergio may be a little too distracted with offense. Arrows comes in, cleans everything up, and now they are in a lot of trouble. Giant Skeleton takes for that RG. Bomb going to go off, take off the cannon. Now going to make sure they have to get more defense down. 12. It's going down too fast to count, but just over 1,000 on the top right-hand side of the board. 596 remaining in the center of your screen.
It's so close.
Can they get the spell power in? There's the RG. Where's the cannon? NATO is in.
The fireball, the
spell power.
The RG is not shooting the right tower. The arrows, just the power. The graveyard. Muhammad Ali, Lucas, take it. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. So close. What a good back and forth. Oh, one building and a NATO, though. One building and a NATO against Giant Skeletons and Royal Giants. Going to be really, really tough there. All 4 players, I mean, looking at again at the replay, Pompeo and Sergio Ramos having so much fun with this. Lucas with a smile on his face the entire game playing with Mo in 2v2. And man, it's just so crazy to think like what these careers would look like in different eras, right?
Yeah.
Like what if Mo and Lucas were just a little bit older and they used to play 2v2 and now they're on the Boomers side. It's just so cool to see them playing 2v2 in a competitive situation. So Juice, 2v2, pretty dang fun, huh?
I mean, yeah, like I said during the match, it was chaos, but I really liked how Mo and Lucas controlled that chaos. I think the defining moment in that game was when they were on that kind of last lava defense, and they realized that there was a lot on the board and it was going to be really difficult. And they said, you know what? If we just keep defending, the spells are going to come through, our defensive troops are going to evaporate, and this lava push is going to break through. So instead, they put the gas on. They put Giant Skelly RG in the pocket. They use, I don't know if it was on purpose, but they used the Giant Skelly to push the Royal Giant forward, make it so the cannon couldn't distract the RG. And then they were able to clean up the defense way easier with just an arrows and an Electro Wizard. And it basically just prevented Pomp team from just laying everything on offense. It was actually crazy.
Yeah, that arrows plus the E-Wiz was nuts. It looked like they were going for a 2-tower race there, a 2-tower trade to win the game. And then all of a sudden, it felt like, you know, they were neck and neck. And then Pompeo and Sergio's push completely taken out by just, what is that, like 7 elixir?
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful defense there from Lucas and Muhammad Light. And then, like you said, doing what they do, kind of controlling the game throughout. You know, they lost the tower early on. They never really seemed that worried about it. They held that freeze to really surprise their opponents because that's what you used to always see at the end of 2v2, right? You spend an arm and a leg. You spend everything you can. If you know your opponent cannot spell their way out and take your tower, you spend every drop of elixir you can to make sure you're going to save that little bit of HP. And that's exactly what they did. They did it up high. They did it with the cannon. They did it with the NATO. They were not expecting the graveyard freeze. So great stuff there from the Zoomers. And now it's time to switch the script.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen this before. We got a giant deck. We have giant versus lava here. And we do see the Electro Wizard. I really like the Electro Wizard. After the buff, it seems like the Electro Wizard is used quite a lot. It just got a slight damage buff, but it does a great job.
E-Wiz getting a little bit of damage, and on top of that, Inferno now allows it to be taken out with the lightning plus the zap there. Giant on the tower. Juicy. This is beautiful stuff here from the Boomers.
Yeah, and the MVP is that E-Wiz. That E-Wiz, it took out everything, and that guard was perfect to protect it from the Lumberjack, and it stayed alive at 1 HP and helped the guards then take out the cannon cart. And that's just a huge advantage for Pomp and Sergio.
Yeah, crazy. Even with the rage damage coming in from that Lumberjack, I'm watching it again on the side screen here, exactly as you said, Juicy. Helps with the cannon cart, helps with the Lava Hound. The Lava Hound actually completely taken off the board. It was the pups. It was the lava pups that were finally able to clean up that very initial Ewiz, the second card played, as you can see from the left-hand side there, and towered down early on. Pompeo and Sergio Ramos scream back into the conversation here in game number 2.
Yeah, I didn't expect this. I thought we'd see Giant a lot in the 1v1 sets and kind of see it dominate, but the one match that was played, it got destroyed by the Pompeo Loon. But now we're seeing some Giant Prince success in 2v2. And I love the pressure on the left side here. You got to apply some pressure, and then you can kind of clean up this Baby Drag plus Lava with maybe a Mega Minion.
There you go. High Ewiz once again baits out a bunch of other cards, including that Lumberjack. Guards in the middle, though. Baby Dragon getting some good damage here. Mega Minion going to be doing a decent job cleaning up, but a lot of damage in early in this defense, and now a Giant to kind of distract those pups.
I really like the idea of the Giant there. If it was played a little bit quicker, that Mega Minion would have stayed alive and provided even more value. But overall, their defense is solid. If they can hold on for 45 seconds, they might have a dub here.
Nice Bomber Kite there on top of that Inferno Dragon. Now the Lava Hound going to come down. Nice timing on the Lava Hound as well. Inferno going to stay on the board, stay healthy, and now another Kite to opposite side of the board. That Inferno Dragon just doing a lot of world traveling in this game, if you will.
And we see a Lightning here, and this is kind of what you were talking about before. It seems like there's so much spell potential, it's really hard to just defend. And with the poison dropping down, Pompeo and Sergio, they kind of have to reevaluate their situation. We're heading into another tower down situation in overtime.
And there you go. Log has to come in to clean things up. Plus the arrows, maybe a little bit of a miscommunication there. Log would have done enough. Arrows comes down, maybe just trying to get some damage in on top of that ensuing push behind the Giant. Giant gets on top of the tower. Guards are there as well. Guards plus Giant. That is so much DPS. Mega Minion still alive and doesn't get a swing on the tower. 1092, 21-21. Pompeo and Sergio chomping at the bit here, and Mo and Lucas just with little smiles on their face knowing they're going to have to do some work here with the remaining 100 seconds.
Giant Dark Prince at the bridge. Cannon set up on defense. We have a defensive poison, but there's a second Giant. Lightning dropping on offense, getting some damage. Guards, Inferno Dragon, and the Cannon card trying to make sure the Giant Mate doesn't make the tower. But look at the spells. The spells are hitting that tower. Lucas and Mohammed, they need to go on an offensive lava push right now.
Pompeo and Sergio just need to spend on defense, get back around, and then just spell their way out. Poison plus lightning plus arrows plus rage should do it. Look at all the units coming down to protect that tower. Mo and Lucas know they are in trouble.
Yeah, we do have a lava push, but like you said, the spell range is there, if not very close. But the lava push is trying its best. Poison lightning rage drops down. Boom! Tower down. Pompeo and Sergio bouncing back.
Oh, and you saw there, Lucas knew it was coming, and they did everything they could there to block. Pompeo hyped up. Dude, I am having so much fun.
Yeah.
This is the most fun I've had casting in so long. I mean, it's hard to say because we just came off World Finals, which is always an absolute blast. But this is just wild. Just looking at the four faces on the screen, the cards that are being played, the way that the game is being played, and of course the rewards. I see you guys talking about it. Think about it. If we're giving away every 30 minutes, that means that an hour after the broadcast starts, you'll probably get that second reward, right? We're getting real close to that time. So make sure you guys are ready with your phones, ready with your screenshots, or your, whatever you're going to do to get that QR code. And then, of course, as Juicy said, we want to see what you guys got in the chat. That was very enjoyable. There were some people that got some great stuff. We saw like 8 little princes. There was people that got like 27 bombers. So, that's the thing about the lucky drops, a little bit of a Clash Royale lottery, if you will. Juicy, we're going to game number 3, man. I don't even know what to expect here. But what we have noticed, let's talk about what we have noticed. Lava Hound, a little bit effective. A lot easier to keep at bay, though, than maybe these the competitors are expecting. Royal Giant was the Giants, Royal or regular, were really really difficult to kind of wrangle in game 1 and in game number 2. Golem maybe a little bit too expensive. Right. You have to kind of rely on one big push to take things over. I like that we're not seeing that. What do you think about like fast cycle stuff or like minor poison controlling in 2v2? Does that really work?
That's true. We haven't seen you bait yet. I'm very surprised. I would think that Muhammad Ali and Lucas would play a double bait, just like spam everything, get the Dark Obs, get the Princess. Maybe not as strong without that Dark Ob evolution in the Goblin Burrow evolutions. But we'll see. We do have a game 3 here. I'm excited. Seems like the lava is struggling so far. And now that I'm thinking back on it, I can't believe that we saw Royal Giant Graveyard Freeze. That was a very creative deck in game number 1 there. I mean, I wonder if we'll see that again.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? That Royal Giant Graveyard deck with the Giant Skeletons just kind of covered so many bases.
True.
You know, you're able to get pressure at the bridge. You're able to stop big pushes with a Giant Skeleton. Obviously, the pressure at the bridge is going to bait out defensive buildings. Then all of a sudden, you drop all that elixir to defend the RG plus Giant Skeleton. Then the Graveyard sneaks in on the backside. You got to defend that. And then, of course, the freeze. So, yeah, I really like the levels of that deck. And here we go. We're going to go back to the skies on both sides of the board, Inferno and Lava, to start things off for all 4 players.
Interesting. Lava mirror matchup. Lightning dropping down the Lava in double drag. We have a Lightning on offense on just the Inferno drag arrow to make sure the dragons are off the board. And it seems like Lucas and Mo are in a little bit of an advantage after that one. They're up some elixir, and they still have their Lava on the board.
See if arrows or anything comes down here. No, gonna let Baby Dragon clean everything up. 27-28 to 26-27. Elixir roughly the same. Zoomers, I guess, technically at a disadvantage because the Baby Dragon's on the board, but, you know, let's just call it even.
Yeah, that was a really satisfying Baby Dragon hit. It's always just the best thing ever when the Baby Dragon has the perfectly timed splash hit on all the lava pups. Made it so that they weren't forced to spend any extra elixir there. And I guess both players are just setting up another push. Dark Prince. I actually like this Dark Prince here. I think this Dark Prince is a good unit for lightning blocking. For example, if sorry, I'm yapping.
No, I was just going to say it's a great call. The Dark Prince, I was saying, is just a great call to block this lightning, soak up that shield shot. You know lightning is going to be used a lot here in 2v2. And, yeah, just kind of thinking about things at all levels, you know, not just like what a good card is on the board offensively, how it synergizes, but, of course, thinking about the spell power of your opponents and how to punish. Nice King Tower activation there. That's going to help out a lot moving through this game with 2v2, especially if we do start thinking about that 2-tower game, those last-second defenses, how much more you can spend defensively to make sure your opponents can't cross that finish line.
I like that Goblin play there, actually predicting that high Inferno drag. Pompeo and Sergio, they're trying to get that Inferno drag high to prevent any lightning value on the tower at all, but the prediction makes this lava push much more of a threat, and they're going to be able to get some spell damage on tower too.
So a little bit of poison in, 17-24. Arrows come down as well, down to 16-31. Miner for the Boomers comes out. Gonna take that tower to just below 2100. And the lightning down as well. Man, it really feels like Mo and Lucas have just got a firm grasp of this game.
You're so right, and they're really just playing it to a T here. I mean, they're just using Lava Hounds pretty much to bait out spell value. That's kind of how Lava is played in 2v2. And then on the other hand, though, it seems like Lucas, or it seems like Pompeo just can't really break through. They're just doing such a good job of blocking this bridge.
Yeah, and here's a pretty, decent-sized push coming at the bridge. Miner are going to go to the back, getting tanked for by the Lava Hound. So now you see Goblins. There we go. Goblins do come down. Clean up that Miner. Lightning defensively, but that Baby Dragon should be able to tank for those pups. This is huge.
Wait a minute, the lava pups are doing damage as well. Is that just spell range? Is the
I think that's game.
Wow,
I think that's game.
That's game.
297. One lava pup stays alive. Miner goes to the inside. Now we just need to get the spell power in, whether it's a lightning, whether it's the poison. Oh, yeah, right.
But the mine. Wait, the mine just does it. GG's.
Wow. And look at that. Sergio and Pompeo celebrating. I don't know if obviously you're so excited to win, but I'm wondering if they thought they were underdogs here going up against Mohamed Light and Lucas, number 1 and 3 in the world just last year.
Yeah, I mean, I actually can't believe what just happened. It's almost like, wait, what? Team Boomers victory in 2v2 versus Lucas and Mohamed with the lava mirror matchup? Oh my god.
This is the Boomers game mode, bro.
It's true.
Don't come to our turf. We invented this. I love to see it. Sergio, Pompeo walking away with a great reverse sweep, dropping game number 1 there, then getting their footing in game number 2 and 3. You love to see it. Mohamed Light and Lucas lose to Sergio Ramos and Pompeo in 2v2. Something that if I'm Pompeo and Sergio, I will never let them live that down. Anytime I see them, I will always bring it up. And we're not even close to done yet, guys. We are only 3/4 of the way through our first run of this. So everything that you've seen, we're going to see again, and we still have 2 King of the Hills to be played, right? We're going to have this King of the Hill set coming your way in just a little bit, and then we're going to run the whole thing back. 3 best of 1s, 2 best of 3s, 1v1 and 2v2, and then of course one more set of King of the Hill. A lot more Clash to be played, a lot more rewards to be given away. We're getting very close to that second reward, and as you guys saw, a lot of great rewards were obtained by the community at large. It's about 40,000 of you guys watching right now, seeing those numbers go up on the half-hour mark. Juicy, that has to do with us, right? Every 30 minutes, they just want to check on how we're doing. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's definitely not what's about to happen right now. Okay, lock, unlocked. There's the QR code. Everyone scan. Not 1, but 2 lucky drops here. Everybody scan that QR code. Take a screenshot from mobile. And once again, let us know in the chat, what did you get? What star did you get? And what did you get out of those drops? And yeah, I wish you all luck.
Sorry, Juicy. I'm just taking a picture of my screen here to try to get these rewards in, man. I didn't get the first one. I don't know what I was doing, but yes, I would like to claim these rewards. And I'm going to tell you right now what I got. All right, first thing.
I'm with you.
2-star. All right, 2-star. Maybe not the best start. 2,800 gold. Okay, perfect. I got 6 million. Or 5 million. All right. And next one, 1-star, 684 gold. So hopefully you guys at home are going to have a little bit more luck than I did. Juicy, how'd you do?
I got like 100 mortars and 2,800 gold out of 2 stars. So okay. Better luck next time. I'm going to make sure to scan that first QR code too whenever it comes up again, because I didn't get that one. Maybe, I don't know.
2,800 gold, man. Come on. Come on. I guess I'll have to keep watching.
Yeah, keep watching. There is a 4-star for the last one, and don't forget that emote, guys. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe you guys will be able to unlock something special and be able to play Retro Royale in Clash Royale, and maybe it'll be, maybe one day you'll actually be playing and we'll be commentating your matches if you guys can get good enough. And you're in the right spot to learn, that's for sure. We got the best of the best, the OG and the new Gen Pros. This is awesome.
What? Someone said they got a diamond chest or a diamond pass out of a 1-star? I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if is that how this game works? 40k gold, love to see it. 3 Electro Wizards and 360 Knights. Not too bad. 28 Suspicious Bushes. I don't know why that feels somewhat insulting. I'm not. It's the name of the card. I'm not sure what it is, but here we go. King of the Hill, guys. If you don't remember how King of the Hill works, each team has 3 players. Each player has 1 life. However, if you win a game, you stay, and if you lose a game, the next competitor up comes in. As you can see, Boomers, Pompeo, Ruben, and Morton representing here, and on the Zoomer side, Lucas, Ta, and Pedro. And Pompeo coming out with an Ice Wiz, a Tombstone, a NATO, and a Log. It might be Graveyard, but with Pompeo, you always got to think about that balloon.
Yeah, it's got to be Graveyard here with the Log, but Lucas with the Mortar, Miner, Poison. Here comes the Graveyard. Goblins and Cycle for defense is really strong, though. Really well played defense there.
Yeah, I don't really love a Graveyard that early in single. Only 3 elixir to respond to about 7+ on the board. And that Ice Wiz plus Log, that's trouble. That's a Mortar Lock now for Pompeo with only just ticking to 3 elixir. And I guess the best response is probably Baby Dragon, and there it is.
Yeah, and you called it. I mean, you absolutely called it here. A little bit aggressive, the Graveyard. Not the best Ice Wizard placement. And because it took extra damage from that Knight, the Log just took it out. And we just see a massive damage lead from Lucas here, up about 800 damage.
Yeah, and this is already a little bit of trouble when you look at the matchup now with that much damage coming in. The blocks at the bridge are going to be a lot easier with those Hunters plus the Knights. Pompeo only has the Knight on the board. Miner's going to be able to get in and get damage on the towers we see right now from Lucas. And knowing Lucas, he's just going to spend a lot of elixir defending. Miner Chip, I'm assuming that's a spell, most likely a poison as the last card. So Lucas in a very, very good spot. And Pompeo going to try the other side of the board.
Yeah, I think he's just cycling the Ice Wiz because he doesn't want a spell value, but it's a rocket.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the rocket.
Yikes.
Hitting the tower and the Baby Dragon. This is tough. And yeah, I mean, you can kind of just see it on Pompeo's expression here. It's not great.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Pompeo, a little bit beside himself, just going of all the spells in the game. It had to be that one, and it had to be against me right now. 10:26 remains to 21:88. Juicy, you are the best Splash Yard player on this broadcast. What would you do in this situation?
Great question. I think that I like the tombstone. I think it kind of stops the miner. You don't really want to rocket that either, but you need to break through. You need to win a bridge battle. But I don't know, it's tough. It's tough versus that hunter.
Yeah.
And it's also tough without the barbarian barrel. I mean, I've talked about this on stream a lot, but since this is the OG original 80 cards, you do not have the barbarian barrel as a guaranteed tank on the other opponent's side of the map.
It is crazy how much these certain cards, like the Earthquake, like the Barb Barrel, just make it. It's like I don't even know how to play that win con without them.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
like how
true.
do you even? I mean, obviously there are versions of Graveyard out there, but like the inability to get damage on tower or to at least threaten the tower from a Graveyard player's point of view is crazy difficult. And that is actually really interesting that you bring that up, because obviously I watched your streams a lot when Retro Royale first came out. You were running Splash Yard pretty religiously, or at least, you know, for the first couple days for fun.
sure.
I'm sure it was nice for you to kind of go back in time. But when you're talking about pushing top Retro Royale, we do not see a lot of Splash Yard, probably because of exactly what you're talking about, or at least this version of Splash Yard.
Yeah, I mean, the log is good if you're going against bait, but I have seen a lot of people using stuff like maybe skeletons just for a little bit of a quicker cycle to get back to your knights and baby dragons. But the log, I mean, it's just another spell, and that means you have 4 spells and a building in that deck, and you really only have 3 like actual cards of substance.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna say the three spells plus the graveyard for 4 spells is just like that's a very spell heavy deck, and you're gonna pretty much always find yourself wanting for more presence on the board. It is even as we saw right when the game started, right? That little bit of over aggression from Pompeo. All of a sudden, there's a mortar on the tower. You have no elixir. The only thing you can do is get a baby dragon down very, very late. So Pompeo's struggling there in game number 1, but that's okay. He's got 2 more of his friends on his back. I think it was Ruben that was coming up next here. And Ruben, one of the boomers that has started off very, very well here today. We had the boomers pick up the 2v2. Zoomers, though, I think to maybe not many people's surprise, have just a slight edge, slight advantage throughout the day so far, Juicy.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it at the very beginning of the broadcast. There's definitely an underdog side of this, but it has been so much fun to see every one of those upsets, especially in that 2v2 set. And if there's anyone that can kind of do really well in this King of the Hill, it's Ruben. He's been here before in CRL. I mean, he was amazing. There was one point in Clash Royale League where Ruben was known as the best, and I'm sure he has many King of the Hill sweeps under his belt.
I mean, absolutely. We used to see Ruben just come out and dominate 1v1s, show up in King of the Hill, and he was just a force to be reckoned with. You know, we haven't seen him since the beginning of today, about an hour ago, two rewards ago. But he was just what we were used to seeing, right? You know, he was in a tough-ish matchup. You know, it felt like he just didn't have all the responses he needed to keep up with that faster deck that he was playing up against. Seems like he was taking a lot of damage early on. Then it seemed like, well, how is he ever going to find a way to break on through? And he did a really, really good job dual lane pressure with the golem, not worrying about running out of time. Very, very last second steals it from Ta. And here we go. Ruben, bottom of your screen. Lucas at the top. And Morton, of course, going to be the closer, if you will.
Oh, this is fun. Ruben maybe just running it back with his golem deck that he had success with. Lucas with archers and tombstone. Not really sure what that could be yet, but it's like Ruben does use the log this time, so who really knows? Giant.
Okay, so it is going to be giant, and giant skeleton archers. GC, what is this?
I don't know. Maybe a balloon deck?
Yeah.
With the giant skeleton. Maybe a graveyard deck. I wouldn't be surprised if it was graveyard, maybe with a poison as well. And he's got zappies. It's looking more like a graveyard deck, I'd say.
Wow, and the first time we have Fireball today, I think, comes into a game against Zappies, so that's at least nice for Ruben there.
Yeah, true.
Zappies and Archers, cards that can be split quite a bit, and luckily for Ruben, he's able to get Fireball value on either side of the board, if that is the case for Lucas wanting to split those cards up.
I'm also trying to figure out the rest of Ruben's deck here. I feel like you gotta have a miner in this deck. I think that without the princes applying pressure, it's a little bit less beatdown, like kind of oriented. I would like to see a miner, kind of a second Wink edition here. There you go.
There you go. Nice call there, Juicy. That's actually a really great card to have here. You talk about getting that direct damage. Going to have to force out so much defensive elixir up high because the Night Witch plus the Giant is a really formidable force. And then Miner going to the back.
And there's the roll.
Here we go. Hunter up high. Wow.
The roll Giant does break through for one shot, but I mean, look at this Giant Skeleton, Andrew. This, I mean, you've talked about a lot about in 2v2, but it works in 1v1 too. You kind of just delete that counter push.
Yeah, and that's actually something that Ruben and Lucas are both going to have to think quite a bit about, because Ruben not having a building a lot of times is going to want to do exactly what we just saw there to stop those Royal Giant pushes, which is just pile up your high DPS troops at the bridge. But if that's the case, your Night Witch and your Hunter are going to be out of cycle a lot. So let's see how they deal with this next little exchange.
Yeah,
beautiful fireball value.
Yeah, I don't really agree with that. It's a Zabby's placement, because that fireball does get some good stuff going down. We do see the lightning here from Lucas too, so he has that direct damage potential as well. And I think if you're Ruben, you have to think about maybe switching lanes, perhaps, because if you just keep beating your head against this brick wall that is the Giant Skeleton, I just don't know if it will work out.
Yeah, and Lucas, though, doing a good job of just demanding elixir out of his opponent here. Nice lightning there. Now the Night Witch is caught on the Giant. RG getting some good shots in. Hunter gets taken off with the lightning. Now the Giant is coming down, but that Zappies get cleaned up. That's a huge push.
This is a huge push. We got the Archers going to get taken out and distracted by the Miner. The Baby Dragon MVP here tanking for the bats. So much damage dropping down, and we're not in fireball range yet, but I mean, when we talked about it, he has got the Miner too. That's solid direct damage.
Yeah, I was shocked at how well that went for Ruben, and those bats staying alive. So much damage from those bats. Miner go to the back. Miner doing a great job of taking care of these Archers, and now that Giant Skeleton, not going to be enough DPS. There's the Miner, there's the Fireball, and there's the Giant hit. Ruben evening things up here in our King of the Hill 1-1, and classic Ruben. Oh, a little smile out of Ruben. Okay, I was going to say classic Ruben celebration with a completely emotionless win, but we got a little smile out of the former world champion as Lucas takes a seat for a little bit, and we're on to our second competitor on both sides. And Ruben, untouchable so far today, Juice.
Right, I know. I was just going to say that, like, both of his matches, it looks like he's going to lose. I thought he was going to lose. And then, no, it's a Giant, double, like, Baby Dragon on the board, the Night Witch, the Miner through. I mean, he really knows how to get that breakthrough. And I love the usage of the Baby Dragon there. I think both of his games with his beatdown type decks, he is making use of that Baby Dragon in order to break through. I think the Baby Dragon's great for splash damage. It has a lot of HP. It doesn't die to lightning. Great stuff all around.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I was thinking the exact same thing about how much of a impact that Baby Dragon was. Only 3 of them came out on the board, and also Miners. Those Miners, only 3 of them coming out. It seemed like they got so much damage every time, or at least value, right? If it wasn't just straight up a ton of tower damage, it was dealing with the Archers, it was making the Skeletons have to come out, it was baiting out bad Zappies that then were able to get fireballed off the board. So really great plays there from Ruben. I love the aggressive Giant at the end just to force the issue. Get the Giant on the board, get back to the Miner as fast as you can so you can get that fireball out. 3.38 to 3.88 in terms of the average elixir cost, and 10 is how much it costs to get all the way back around. Great stuff there from Ruben. We love to see it. And now, as we move on to our next competitor on the Zoomers side, after Lucas takes a seat, as you guys saw there, 2-time #1 on ladder, and of course, bronze medalist at our World Finals in 2024. Great year for Lucas last year. You know, I think a lot of people were kind of concerned about his showing in 2023. Would he be kind of washed in 2024? Would he be able to bounce back? And you and I both saw and spent time with Lucas in Finland, and it was really great to see kind of the maturity of the mental, the maturity of the gameplay, and obviously the great finish there for Lucas.
Yeah, honestly, watching the evolution of Lucas over time has been really awesome. Like, he's just continued to grind and get better and better, not only in the game, but also like mentally. And Clash Royale is such a mental game. You do have to have that crazy mental fortitude. And that's one of those things that I never figured out. I've always just like I mean, if you get tilted, it's just really hard to come back from that. But he's gotten better and better at making sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give yourself a little bit more credit there, Juice. You stream for like 6 to 8 hours regularly. I'm sure you get tilted pretty often, but yeah, you got to do it, right? If that's the job, you got to do the job. Whether it's in CRL or whether it's streaming, you got to just put your head down and work through those tough moments in your career, and that's something that Lucas definitely did. Ta is actually another person that's a great kind of segue. You know, Ta kind of burst onto the map, winning a monthly finals, and no one knew who he was. Everyone thought he got lucky, and then he had kind of a down year, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh wow, Ta is actually top tier, one of the best in the world, and it's been really exciting to see his evolution as well from a caster's point of view. So here we go, Graveyard, bottom of your screen. Candy Park going to try to stop that bowler not across the bridge early enough, and that is a bit of a misplay from Ta. I mean, wow, Juicy, I mean, you play a lot of Graveyard. I feel like everything went wrong there.
No, I mean, it might not seem like a huge mistake to everyone back at home, but that Graveyard was played just a half second too early, and not having the bowler tank made it so that the freeze gets no value as well. Because, I mean, basically just the freeze, I mean, the skeletons were already gone at that point because without the tank, the skeletons weren't able to swarm at the beginning. And Ruben did a great job of just waiting the last second with that log.
And a very heavy Graveyard deck to be using GY in single, Juicy.
Yeah, especially with how expensive Ta's deck is. This is not the normal splash card you see, where sometimes you can get away with that. You know, every single card in this deck, I mean, the cheapest one is like Knight or Guards. Yeah, it's just very heavy here.
Yeah, really heavy, and trying to see the synergy. I mean, it feels like that last card has to be Tornado.
Right.
It feels like
definitely.
that would be the only way for things to work. And there's the Nado looking for that bowler lineup, though. Knight off to the side, not going to get the lineup. And this Hunter has been incredibly effective here in Retro Royale today.
That's a great point. I wasn't even thinking about it, but even without the evolution, the Hunter's doing a great job, like you said, just because of the DPS, I guess. I mean, it is able to two-shot most cards. It's decently spell resistant. You know, it does force out that Fireball, Poison plus Log. Interesting.
Juice, how do you feel about the Hunter evolution? Since, you know, I'm assuming most people that are watching also play Clash Royale in its form as of right now. Hunter evolution, I haven't played with it a bunch. Seems situationally dominant, but you've obviously probably played with it and against it more than I have.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the Hunter evolution is very good, very strong. It kind of reminds me of Musketeer evolution. You know, it is 2 cycles, so it takes a decent amount of time to get to it. But when you do get to it, it does have some very strong defensive value. I think it's right now just a little bit overshadowed by the Lumberjack evolution because the Lumberjack is just 1 cycle. I think that if there ever is a Lumberjack nerf to make it 2 cycles instead of 1, I think the Hunter will be able to show its prowess a little bit more.
Yeah, Lumberjack, super powerful evolution there, even with, you know, kind of the rework of it or the fixing of it, if you will. It's just still incredibly dominant. And that, like you said, that 1 cycle does make it so hard to... Ooh, I don't know about that Hunter from Ruben, but actually ends up getting a good amount of value. I was worried because it got bumped from the bowler in the very beginning, but was able to reset, take out both those units, and yeah, Ruben doing Ruben things. It honestly feels exactly like it used to back in the day, casting his matches, and great lineup there from Ta.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is like some solid domination. He's just got that early damage lead, and then he has the poison for the Graveyard. I think that with that poison, he should be able to clutch up this win. Graveyard freeze, I mean, the biggest antithesis to it is the poison, just because, well, you can't freeze a poison. It's going to take out the Graveyard no matter what.
And you have to take that poison at the bridge right there, obviously. And then this is exactly goes back to what you were saying earlier. We were talking about bait not wanting to use log against barrels, and you said Graveyard using poisons against the Graveyard itself, and that freeze gets a little, a lot more than I think Ruben was anticipating. Just as I was going to compliment how well he was playing his defenses, that freeze comes in and obliterates him, maybe wishing he did have that poison for defense there.
Yeah, I think we kind of cast our curse to this all around because, I guess the top played very well in the fact that he just spammed all of his support troops. After seeing that poison, he realized that if he's just going for like little graveyard pushes, it's not going to be enough. So instead, he spams everything the bridge, forces the poison up on the bridge. He gets that graveyard on the offensive. But this time, it's different. There's a poison on defense. There's a graveyard on offense. It's all about the Larrys. Who's Larry's going to get there?
Oof.
Wow.
And Ruben's cannon cart ended up getting there. Larry's were piling up there for Ta, and Ruben with an emphatic punctuation on the end of that match. And Ruben now undefeated through 3 of his games on the day. There is still 1 chance left here for the Zoomers, but I mean, I don't know, man. Ruben just looking like Ruben used to, and looks like he has not missed a step in several years.
And I just got to point out, that's going to put us at 5-6. 5 for the Boomers and 6 for the Zoomers on the points. If Ruben wins this next game of the King of the Hill, I think it's just going to be 6-6 tied up here for our first round, which would be actually crazy. Ruben, like you said, this is like OG Ruben. He's actually carrying the squad right now.
Yeah, MVP Ruben right now. Vamos Team Queso, let's go. Still doing it here in 2025. Looking to even things up, but he's got a large hill to climb in Pedro. Obviously, world number 2 years ago. Still exceptionally good in 2024. One of the best players in the world. I'm excited to see what 2025 has in store for Pedro. And, of course, in this best of 3. And guys, we're getting closer to that next reward. Remember, every half an hour, we're giving them away, and we've got a lot of good stuff given away already. 3 chests so far. You're about to get the next big drop, and then, of course, the 2 rewards after these next. This next, I think it's 5 lucky drops. We're going to have a 4-star and then an emote, so make sure you guys are still staying tuned in. And like you said, Juice, we're about to maybe get through this very first round completely tied up at 6. And I don't know if they told you, but I was looking through our contract. If we're completely tied up at the end of the day, Juicy, you and I have to have a Boomer versus Zoomer cage match. So I don't want to do that because I'm not as young as I used to be, and you've been lifting. So I really hope that the Boomers can just take this. We don't have to do the cage match that we agreed upon. Revel made us do it. But
Revel,
looking pretty even so far. Revel, why, man?
Don't let this happen. I have asthma. Andrew's being modest. He's going to beat me up.
I've been training since December for this. So here we go. Final match of the first round through King of the Hill. Maybe final match. Let me put that caveat there. Pedro, if he's able to withstand Ruben, then that could push us to a final matchup between Morton and Pedro. But first,
wow,
can he take down Ruben?
Princess of the Bridge, bait deck. Ruben taking a page out of Pedro's book with the most likely minor mortar poison cycle here. I actually like the matchup here for Ruben, I think, right? I mean, it kind of depends on the variation. He does have the Dark Gob. That's going to help a little bit on the log bait element, but I think this mortar has a lot of potential value.
Definitely, and if this is the no big spell version of it, we'll see if Ruben wants to start using that mortar defensively just to kind of control the board, not have to worry about the princesses or the dark goblins as much, and we shall see. There's the princess right-hand side, knight to catch the dark goblin, log out defensively here for Ruben. And I see a lot of people asking, why isn't Mohammed Light playing against Ruben? Guys, just as we said at the top of the show, this is an even team event, and Mo Light already played in the in the best of 1v1s and in the 2v2, so we have to spread the love here, if you will, for all of the Zoomers, which is why we're seeing Pedro, Ta, and Lucas come out here in the King of the Hill.
Yeah, speaking of King Hill in this match, I do like what Pedro's doing. He knows that this is the final chance for his team in this set. He's the last one alive, if you will, and he knows that the matchup is difficult, and he's doing everything in his power to get the damage in single elixir. And he's done a decent job, but Ruben's kind of done a great job of kind of mitigating the damage. Once we get a double elixir, it's going to be Ruben's game, and we see that mortar that you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, once you recognize in retro that your opponent is not running a big spell, or even if they're just running rocket, which in this case it's most likely, oof, that is tough, man, having a princess soak a mortar shot. And you even see Ruben surprised there at the play from Pedro.
Okay, this is really good mortar push, though. He's got the mortar on defense supporting the mortar on offense. One little goblin going to stay alive, though, and that's going to take out the whole mortar.
Yeah, a little bit of a frustrating interaction there for Ruben. Goes knight down low, going to go barrel right-hand side. And that knight is in the right spot to deal with the princess. And we see a nice block here, but the hunter is able to take out that dark goblin.
Somehow. I mean, the hunter is doing a great job today. Just seem to have a lot more HP than those usual glass cannons here. But look at that one goblin once again. One goblin just on that tower. This tower's at half HP already, Andrew. And we're just heading into overtime.
I know. It's so crazy. It feels like Ruben is playing really out of sorts here, just playing very uncomfortably, and obviously that says a lot more about Pedro than it does about Ruben. We know Ruben knows how to play this game and plays it very, very well, but Pedro just making him make mistakes. And yeah, these mortars and the timing of all the units has been pretty frustrating for Ruben, not getting shots off or, you know, focusing on the wrong unit.
This is a solid defense, though. But the princess again. This princess placement is so annoying. Gets that one shot on the hunter, splashing the tower. The mortar does take it out, but Pedro already got what he wanted. He got the damage that he needed.
And that's why we saw Pedro go for that odd princess earlier that was taken off the board. Then we saw Ruben kind of call him out for it because it just seemed like a bad play. Then we see it work on the other side of the board, getting the log to push the unit back. Princess to be away from the mortar, gets a shot in on the tower. 12-14, 27-24. Ruben behind by a mile. Princess up again, does get on tower again. Juicy.
Wow.
Those placements are beautiful. I mean, this is one of the reasons why we love seeing Clash at the highest level and one of the reasons we love Pedro.
Yeah, I mean, this is insane. Like, once again, on paper, I see no reason Ruben should lose this, but Pedro is putting on the pressure. He's forcing his opponent to make mistakes. We talked about it at the World Finals this year. Bait is so good at forcing mistakes and causing a lot of nerves, and that's exactly what's going down here, I think.
Wow, and the timing once again. Princess stays alive. Dark Goblin used as a tank. Princess at the bridge on tower. Barrel comes in, gonna stop the damage, stop the bleeding for a second. And you see Pedro there just so impressed with himself. He should be. That was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing to talk about, which we've kind of brought up again and again and again in these competitions, is the fact that Pedro knows exactly how Miter Mortar Poison works. It's his best deck. And that not only helps you play it, but also helps you play against it. Yes, he's got the log. He's got the hunter for the barrel. He's got the quick cycle. He's got the mortar. He has a miner for the princess and the dark gods, but it doesn't matter. Pedro knows exactly what the best play for his opponent is. And because of that, he can reverse engineer to make the best play for the bait side of the matchup.
Oh, I love that. Reverse engineer. Yeah, that's exactly what you do, right? I mean, you said exactly what I was thinking there. I was thinking about it during the game, and you know, we say this a lot in CRL when we talk about people that are known for decks. Like, we say it exactly. That one is a great example. Like, do you really run Mortar against Pedro? Do you really run Quick Cycle against Mo? Do you really run Hog against Lucas? Is Royal Giant against Mugia a great idea? And I think exactly what you're talking about, Juice. It's just when you know exactly how to play a deck through and through, and you've lost with that deck and you've won with that deck hundreds, if not thousands of times, you know how to make your opponent uncomfortable. And that's exactly what we saw. Wow, we're flying through these rewards. I had no idea we were already at the 90-minute mark. Get out your phone, Juicy. Here we go. This is the big one, buddy. This is the big one. 5 chests here.
This is the big one.
This is the big one. All right, 5 chests. First one, I'm going 2 stars. Not ideal. 2,800 gold. Okay, I've gotten like 10,000 gold from this whole broadcast.
Everybody,
come on. Take
a screenshot, scan the QR code. 5 lucky drops, guys. Open it on your free-to-play account as well. That's important, everyone.
Yes. Yes, I got to do that too. Oh my gosh. So much to do in so little time. The best thing I got was 45 Royal Hogs, Juicy.
Okay, I'm going through. I got a 7 Goblin Demolishers. Okay, I got a 3-star.
Okay.
I got a 3-star. We have, a legendary wild card. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. The question is, guys, everyone drop in the comments. Are you guys more excited for the 4-star lucky drop or for the emote? I actually very interested in your answer. I feel like this is like a psychological question here.
Book of Books.
No, you're lying.
Not me, but Umberto got a book of books in all caps in the chat. Umberto, big shout out to you. That is absolutely huge. And of course, big shout out to Clash Royale in the chat, who is also dropping the link for those of you that maybe are not computer and technologically savvy like me, even though I'm a boomer. And Let's see what else we got here. Okay, I opened up my free-to-play account. Or it's not free to play. It's my second account. Let's be honest. It is definitely pay to play. And a battle banner. Okay, I'm not mad about getting a battle banner. It feels like a little more special than just gold. I got a little more gold. Okay, got a 3-star here. 3-star. 8 goblin curses. I don't know why that feels insulting.
Eternity on YouTube said he got the full Evo Bomber evolution. That's crazy.
No way.
That's got to be like the best feeling ever.
4 legendary wild cards. Love to see that as well. I got a champion wild card. Wow, with on a 3-star.
No way.
I got a 50k wild cards. You could tell with the repeat of letters and the all caps that Hot Filk is 100% serious on 50k wild cards. Guys, what are you guys doing if you're not claiming these rewards? 50k wild cards. That is actually a huge.
That's game changing. Especially if you're free to play, like that's a max card right there. That could be the difference maker between getting the ultimate champion or getting to 9,000 trophies and not.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are not winning diamond passes. Stop it. I know you're lying to me. 50k wild cards, full Lumberjack Evo. That is massive.
That is
We were just
insane.
talking about how good Lumberjack is. And here we go. Morton, bottom of your screen. Pedro at the top of your screen. This is game number 5. This is for all the marbles here.
Yes.
As you can see, 5 to 7. Zoomers are in the lead. Morton can bring this to 6 to 7. And then, of course, we're going to go right back into those best of ones. So Boomer's still very, very close here. And let's just read Morton's little highlight here. Has come heartbreakingly close to glory multiple times, finishing second in both the 2020 and 2022 CRL World Finals, but his consistency proves he is one of the best. Oh, Morton. I'll never not love Morton, but I will always feel, the second place curse, man. And I gotta, luckily it happened to Morton, because I feel like if it happened to anyone else out there, they would not be able to handle it as well as Morton did every single time.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. Like, speaking of mental fortitude, Morton's got that, man. He has got that gene, man.
And he just goes right back to it. Like, it's crazy how quickly he gets back to competing and practicing and streaming, like right after those things will happen. So big shout out to Morton, as he is currently in the lead, although this miner is going to get at least one hit on the tower. 2758 to 2709. Pedro running some miner mortar once again, probably exactly what we just saw, and Morton going for a little different look on bait. And this is that, I'm pretty sure this is that MK Zap deck, as the last 2 cards. Super popular in Retro Royale. Very popular back in the day. Actually, even popular in non-Retro Royale, whether you want to run Evo Bats and Evo MK, or if you want to change a card or 2 out, if you want to have Evo Zap in there. It's definitely a fun one.
Yeah, on the other hand, Pedro, I mean, he's doing the Pedro deck. I do like Pedro's matchup here just because of the non-big spell from Morton. I think we're going to see another situation where it might be some defensive mortar value.
And a little bit of grace from the Clash Royale gods there, as the MK takes just a little bit longer to swing than Pedro would have liked. No King Tower activation, even though nice placement. 2758 to 2368. Morton going to work down that left-hand lane again, and those spears going to do a great job cleaning up that mortar, at least for a moment.
Yeah, I really like the placements there from Morton's Mega Knight, distracting as well as tanking that Hunter shot to keep the Inferno Drag healthy, and he's just doing the dual lane pressure. Morton's very good at these dual lane pressure bait decks. The question is, though, can he keep his mortar off the tower? Can he keep the damage lead versus these minor poison chip?
And the double spend on the goblins there allows for the spear goblins to stay alive long enough to get damage on the tower after taking the mortar off the board. Early cycled skeletons there from Pedro. Nice play. A zap comes in for Morton to clean them up, but Pedro is kind of on top of everything. 25-51 to 2016. Morton still firmly in the lead. That's some good log value. And there it is.
And there's nothing.
Mortar gonna lock.
Yeah, there's nothing to stop that mortar from locking now. We do see Morton try to make an attempt on offense, though, with the log at a cycle. Skellyburrow does a lot of damage. We have a big damage trade here in overtime.
Yeah, Morton goes miner right on top of that Hunter, gets the zap in just in time, but that mortar gets the last shot in. 1709. Bats, at least 1 or 2 of them sneak in front of that barrel, and a high mortar here that can pretty much be ignored by Morton.
Really good decision to go off the lane in this matchup. Being able to force out that defensive mortar is a game changer. Makes defense a lot easier. But as we head into triple elixir, it's going to be the miner poison spam that we know all too well.
Yeah, but right now, Pedro, he plays that miner a little early to try to catch the miner from Morton. Not out yet, so maybe just getting a little bit ahead of himself. Now having to use that mortar to try to catch the miner from Morton. And 13:54, this is exactly what you're talking about, Juicy. A couple miner hits in. Poison hit is in as well. 11:38, 11:05. Morton still just barely in the lead. Does get a miner right on top of the mortar, but might not be enough. Needs that miner damage to get on top of tower, but getting a lot of elixir at the bridge is the German.
I like this play. He's stacking up huge pushes. He's dropping a lot of Inferno Dragons.
Great zap.
Yeah, he's using those zaps to stun, to try and keep the Inferno Dragons alive even longer. Ice Spirit does jump, though. There's 20 seconds left. It's Pedro's time to go on offense.
Where's the zap? There's the zap. Miner on top again. Pedro cannot get on offense because he's having to spend so much defensively. Miner is in. Bats are there. Morton gonna close things out for the Boomers. You can see he is hyped up. He's ready to pick up that win on the day. 8-12, 385, 6-7 at the end of our first run through. Zoomers ahead by just a hair. And I'll be honest, Juicy, I did not expect us to be this neck and neck. I don't know what I expected. I expected one of the two teams, though, most likely the Zoomers, to kind of be in the lead by at least 3 or 4 points maybe.
Yeah.
But as you can see here, Boomers doing a great job, 6-7, and momentum in favor of the Gray Hairs.
I mean, I can't believe what we're seeing. We see a King of the Hill win from the Boomers. And I mean, this is amazing. This is so much fun. Great plays from Morton there to clutch up for his team. He knew that the miner poison spam was something that is to be feared in triple elixir. But in order to prevent that, he just spammed. He had the crazy beatdown push, the Mega Knight double Inferno Dragon, and he never let off that gas. At one point, I was like, okay, now it's Pedro's time to attack, right? No, the skeleton barrel, the miner, the zap is in yet again, and there just wasn't enough time. Wild.
Yeah, I mean, I think Morton recognized exactly what everyone else did. You, myself, Pedro, which was that when these miner poisons come in at the end of the game, they are going to cause a lot of trouble. And Morton was able to just keep pedal to the metal, pressure up miner after miner after miner. Skeleton barrels, the zaps doing a great job. I mean, the zaps were actually part of the MVP of the story just because Pedro wanted to use just the skeletons, right? He just wanted to use the skeletons or the miner to deal with the miner from Morton, and it was because he was trying to save that knight for the MK. And just really, really great stuff there from Morton, recognizing that, keeping up the pressure. The other thing that I was getting so excited to talk about, because I remember saying this so much back in the day, was in King of the Hill, you would want Morton at the end because he always ice through his veins, Juice. We used to say this all the time back in the day in King of the Hill. You want to have your most consistent, least emotional player be in that third and final spot.
So true.
And honestly, that's what we got. Pedro, we saw him in World Finals stage 2 years ago in that second place spot, and we were like, wow, is this kid really doing this? Like, we were all very skeptical of how good he actually was going to be on that World Finals stage, and he proved us wrong back in 2023. And you can see right here in King of the Hill, still running ice through his veins is Pedro, but going up against Goten falls just a little bit short. And guys, we're only halfway through our day. This has been an absolute blast, Juice.
Yeah, I want to see another one of those 2v2 sets. I know we got a little bit to go. We gotta do that 1v1 set, and we gotta do another 1v1 set. It's kind of interesting. We have a best of 3, just 1v1, and then we also have like best of 1s with the 3 players. It's kind of like a King of the Hill, except not at all.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? It is like King of the Hill, but not, because no one gets to stay. But still, that idea of like, you have no idea what you're going to come up against. You have no idea the emotional state of the player. It's not like they've been really favoring one deck in their 1v1s. It's too early to say that. So I do like how blind this best of 1 is. Although if this was for CRL points or a lot of money on the line, I'm sure pros would be livid about best of 1s. Best of 3s is something that we fought for so long, and obviously dual modes. So, I will say, because of Retro Royale and the way that things have been played, it's really interesting. I think because there is not so much on the line, we're not just seeing the same decks over and over and over. Like, it was so necessary that we implemented dual mode into CRL when we did. Some people would have liked it even a little bit sooner. But it's been nice that it hasn't been an issue here today. We've seen some people run their comfort decks over and over, but we've seen them win and lose with them. And we've seen them play with different win conditions. It's been a really, really great variety. And, this is, since we have time right now in between the two sets, let's talk about, like, I love that Clash Royale and the devs have given us 2v2 again.
Yeah.
I love this Retro Royale. Even if you don't agree with the bans, I love to see a global tournament with cards banned.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of great ways to keep the game fresh.
So true. Yeah, huge shout out to the Clash Royale devs. Shout out to the balance changing team. I mean, you guys are doing a great job balancing the evolutions, balancing retro game mode. It's awesome. And we are heading into our next kind of round here. It's going to be a full repeat of what we've just seen. But the scores do kind of transfer over. So we do have Boomers 6 points, Zoomers 7 points, but anything can happen here as we head to this next set.
And you can see Pedro just going right back into it. Drops that third game in King of the Hill. No problem for him. Is he going to come out here at game number 1 in these best of ones? Sergio Ramos versus Pedro. Then Morton versus Lucas. Then Ruben versus Mo Light. So a bunch of matches that you want to see, especially that third one. People were already calling for it in the chat. Obviously, Mohamed Light, greatest player of all time. Ruben, the best boomer of the day. So we will get that matchup here just a little bit down the line.
That's fun. And I kind of like Pedro's deck choice here. It's like, gosh, it's like when I'm on ladder and I lose against Lava Hounds, like I just immediately start putting more air defense in. He's like, you know what? Mega Knight, Skeleton Barrel, I'm getting the cannon, I'm getting the mini P.E.K.K.A, never losing to that again, and I'm going to use my Miner and Poison as my main offense.
Yeah, really interesting deck there. Pedro changing things up. Love to see it. Sergio Ramos on the other side of it, going back to Giant. We started off with less Giant than we thought, kind of got evened out in that 2v2, and now it feels like we were seeing about as much Giant as we had originally expected.
Yeah, interesting stuff. I do like the Giant Miner. I wonder what this last spell is from Sergio, though. I mean, I assume it's just another spell, but I feel like if it is like a fireball, he's going to have some good chances here. He's going to be able to break through that damage. But if it's something like, I don't know, maybe like another like cycle card, I don't know if it will be enough to break through these minor poison on offense plus that mini P.E.K.K.A cannon on defense.
I know, it feels like if you're going up against Pedro at this point, you just have to kind of think that he's going to run some version of minor poison control, whether it's with a mortar or like we're seeing now, Juicy, kind of an adjustment after he got done dirty by Morton there. So, what will that look like moving forward? If you're going to play against Pedro, how are you going to adjust? Because this does seem to be just what he's going to rock today, unabashedly.
Wow. And a little bit of a misplay, I would say, with this minor, or sorry, not the minor, but the mini P.E.K.K.A. Mini P.E.K.K.A gets taken out immediately, but he does stop the Giants from doing too much damage. But I think that mini P.E.K.K.A is definitely a big asset that can be used a lot on defense versus these Giants, and it has counter push value.
22-47 to 24-20. Sergio Ramos just a little bit behind on that bottom right to top left combo, but of course top right tower the lowest on the board, 22-47. Now just a little bit in the lead is Pedro as that tower gets taken down below 2200 by the log.
And I like what Sergio's doing. He does have the arrows, so it's not crazy amount of... Wait, Hunter? Wait, Hunter? That's 2 shots.
Wow, that's a 3rd shot.
Oh my gosh.
Was that 3rd or 2? Was that just 2 or 3?
That was 2, but still, the Hunter does so much damage down to 1340. It seems like he got a little bit tunnel visioned on offense there. If he could have just dropped a berry or just spear gobs or maybe even like an arrow or a zap, I think he could have mitigated a lot. But now Pedro, all he has to do is defend. It's not like last game where he needed to defend and get damage on offense because of Morton applying a lot of pressure. But at this point, it's just a good defense wins the game.
Miner goes to the back, pulls the Mega Minion over to the right-hand side, and then gives great poison value to Pedro. And Sergio, then you immediately saw kind of a shake of the head knowing that this is probably going to be it. He needs to break through on the right-hand side right now. He needs to get a second giant down on the right-hand side. Poison, though, at the bridge, so he has to go left-hand side. And that is just going to be easy cleanup here for Pedro. Doing Pedro things. I mean, cannon does get taken out. It's placed a little bit high. Cannon cart down on the other side, but it still is just so... Wait, the reset.
Giant does get a hit. Mini P.E.K.K.A is going to take that giant out, though, and it's going to walk back to the miner. Only 5 seconds left. Pedro going to have a very nice victory versus Sergio Ramos here in game number 1 of our second kind of set of matches. And that's going to be another Zoomer victory.
Juice, what do you do if you were running up against miner poison control basically over and over with one of the best to ever do it? What's the cheat card? How do we break through?
Wow, I mean, great question. It seems like Morton had a good kind of idea to have those, you know, like have a deck that can make small or big pushes. But now that, like, without evolutions, it basically the miner poison didn't have like as much DPS. But now that Pedro has kind of shifted that, it's like, okay, I'll just put in a mini P.E.K.K.A. I'll just have more DPS for defense versus those giants, versus those roll giants. Maybe you have to go to the skies. Maybe you have to use some sort of lava deck and make use of the fact that there really isn't much air defense in this deck.
Yeah, that's a good call. I mean, that was something I was definitely thinking about. We have not seen Lava Hound really at all, other than in 2v2, if I'm not mistaken. You know, it was the only place that it seemed like Lava had found its way in this version of Clash Royale, and yeah, maybe that's the way to go. But things are changing. Obviously, these are best of ones. Pedro takes that, takes the points, takes the lead, extends the lead, if you will, now just by 2 for the Zoomers, and we're going to get another great matchup here coming your way. My memory, man, when you're a boomer, your memory is not quite what it used to be. I know that Ruben and Mohamed Light are going to close things out. But, Juice, what's the second matchup? Do you remember what it was? We're going to find out in a second.
I'm a boomer, too. I grew a beard, and now everyone thinks I'm 55 years old. So I'm going to play that card also. But we're going to be hopping in soon. Also, guys, if you guys did miss the 5-star lucky drops, scan that QR code right now. There's 5 lucky drops. Not 5 stars, but 5 lucky drops here for our third set. Next up, make sure you guys keep watching. There's going to be a 4-star lucky drop guaranteed for our next one.
And here we go. Morton and Lucas, 2 guys that know every stage of the game. Lucas, obviously, not as much on the content creation side as Morton, but he has what is the word I'm looking for? He's dabbled in it. Wow, it's been a while since I've casted. I was gonna say dilly-dallied, and that was not it. And that definitely would have dated me even more.
Looking at the matchups, looks like Morton maybe a roll giant deck that we saw, very similar to the one we saw, I believe, actually Lucas running earlier with the giant Skelly, and in that RG with the tombstone, and then Lucas here looking like we're seeing another OG deck. We got a little bit of an OG Hog, Executioner, Tornado. The question is, does he have Lightning or does he have the Rocket? I've seen both.
Yeah. I feel like I would rather see Lightning for some reason right now, but...
Right. I agree with that for sure. I think the Lightning just a little bit more versatile, a little bit more... it's just a little bit more useful, I guess you could say, in the kind of quote-unquote competitive arena. The Rocket is pretty good on ladder just because, you know, you do get those really solid Rocket Cycle matchups, but versus a roll giant deck here, you'd probably want the Lightning.
So Morton playing things nice and slow. Good cleanup there on that hog push over the middle, log behind to try to... Lucas put a log behind the hog to try to get that hog on tower. Morton spent some skellies plus a log to even things up and make sure that no damage comes in. Aggressive Executioner. Morton looking for some magic archer action.
And there it is. There, it's not hitting the tower, but he is able to kind of clean up this Mega Minion and take out the giant skeleton on Morton's side of the map. And I think that's very important to note there, because if the giant skeleton is always kind of getting taken out over there, then it doesn't have that value on offense as a tank for the RG, but also to clean up the counter push on Lucas' side.
So giant skeleton out on the right-hand side. Knight working down the left-hand lane here from Lucas. There's the GY in, and now a hog to kind of pull everything back and distract it. Nice NATO there from Lucas.
Yeah, but the Hogger just getting taken out. But he, like you said, the distraction was nice. He pulled everything over to Morton's side of the map, so there's no tank for the Graveyard. Once again, without the Barbarian Barrel, as long as you can have good blocking at the bridge, since Morton does have the log, you should be able to defend fairly well versus these Graveyards, even without like a poison or something else.
And there's the poison from Morton on top of the tower, taking it down to just around 2,500. 25-15 for Lucas and 26-08 for Morton. And this game is very, very close. One mistake could really swing the entire match in favor of one competitor with just about 100 seconds remaining.
And this is what I like about Retro Royale. Like, it seems like with Evolutions, like we saw in the first World Finals when Evolutions were introduced, it was all about these huge beatdown, bowler, gob giant, breakthrough pushes. But this is what OG Clash is about at the highest level. It's a grindy game. And there goes the Rocket. It's going to be that Rocket cycle, solid defense versus the Graveyard Poisons. Who will come out on top with the damage here?
That's such a great way to put it, man. Old OG Clash Royale was such a grindy game, especially when we had longer games, when we had the 6-minute games, especially when we had draws. This game was all about the grind. That is such a beautiful way to put it. And that's probably a lot of the reason why you see these OGs. They are very emotionless. The best original players in the game were emotionless because of exactly that, Juicy. It was an absolute grind.
Wait, Giant Skill is a threat. He does have Tornado, so it's probably fine. Wow. What a play.
Nice NATO there.
I don't think the Giant Skeleton Bomb will hit left side tower. So he gets the King activation for pretty much no negative. And that's going to make a big difference on defense versus Graveyard. And it's going to allow Lucas to continually send these rockets with only 23 seconds left.
Yeah, and you can see Morton really thinking hard in these next 20 seconds. How on earth? A nice, beautiful XE over the middle to catch those archers. That is actually going to be the nail in the coffin. There's no way for Morton now to actually get any presence on that side of the board. Poison plus Graveyard does come in, but of course, as you said, and as you know, Juicy, King Tower is activated. Rocket comes in. XE gets a shot in. Morton not able to take game number 2 here as the Zoomers are extending their lead 9-6. Ruben going to have to come back out and do what he's been doing all day for the Boomers and hopefully get him just a little bit closer to these youngins.
Fascinating stuff. I'm not going to lie. After playing Tornado for so long, I didn't even think that that was even possible. I thought the Giant Skeleton was too thick to Tornado to the King Tower, but he just makes it happen. He makes it look easy. Maybe he kited it further towards the middle of the map with like an Ice Spirit or some Goblins. It's a very instructive idea from this type of Tornado deck, is to use a Psycho card to allow for King Tower activations, and he gets the job done. I'm also very interested to see the stats on that match on how many times Executioner was played. It seems like he played the Executioner every time it was in cycle because Poison just isn't able to take it out.
Well, let me try to figure that out for you, just in case our production team is a little bit busy with other things or they might not have the graphic. We can go to our good old way of checking online.
True
that. How do you do
that.
this? How do you do this again?
Yeah, I mean, I really like the Executioner there once again because when paired to the Tornado, it's just taking everything out. And we saw it, like the game-winning play at the end there. A second Executioner dropped down, took out the Archers, and without the Archers being able to take out the other Executioner, the Graveyard, once again, it's not able to have a tank. And especially with the King activated, without a tank, there's just no way that you're getting damage.
9 Executioners came down from Lucas. 9 Executioners, 11 Knights, and 13 Ice Spirits. So you can see how much control was being put out by Lucas on the board. So much damage at the bridge, not allowing anything to cross over, which is really difficult to do when you talk about what he... And there we go. Thank you guys so very much for that in that production tent, production booth, production house, whatever it is when we're online. And then the Rockets, right? You know, you and I both feel very strongly about Rockets and rocket cycling, but in OG Clash Royale, it feels a little bit less frustrating because Lucas tried other ways, right? He tried the Hog Riders. He tried the Executioner lineups. He tried. And then finally he realized, look, it's just not happening. I just can't break through. So what do I need to do? I need to defend at the bridge. I need to get as many Executioners out as I can. I need to keep myself within striking distance, and then I need to win this with rockets. So something about it, maybe it's just because I'm old school. Maybe it's because I'm nostalgic, but this rocket cycle hurt just a little bit less. Maybe Morton feels different.
I 100% agree, and I think it's because without the evolutions, you don't have that get out of jail free card. A lot of the times with like the meta rocket cycle decks in Path of Legends, for example, you have the Evo Valkyrie and you have Evo Cannon in your deck. So whenever you get either of those Evos in cycle, you can send the rocket. It doesn't really matter, single, double, triple elixir. If your opponent tries to break through, you just drop that Evo Valk. It cleans everything up, and you can get ready to do that next rocket cycle. But here, it takes a little bit more patience and a little bit more precise defense.
So here we go. Aggressive at the bridge. Mo Light looking to get a lineup early on, and he does. Log comes in, and that is already a beautiful amount of damage for our reigning world champion, and a King Tower activation to boot. And Ruben just goes, oh, wow. This is what Clash Royale is like now, huh?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, we saw last game, there was 9 Executioners played, but only 3 Hogs. Maybe we got this deck all wrong. Maybe Hog Rider's the defensive card. Maybe Executioner is the real win condition here.
Yeah, that's so funny because that Hog really was used to kite so much last game, and the Exy was so much of the winning factor.
And there's another Executioner hit on the tower. Ruben just calls the good game. Wow. I mean, I don't blame him. He's got log bait. He's going against an Executioner, log, tornado with a quick cycle. And even if Ruben has a rock in his deck, which he doesn't, he wouldn't even be able to do that because Muhammad Light can also rock a cycle himself. Wow.
And dominant in this first minute 30 is Muhammad Light, the golden-chaired golden boy who probably everyone's least favorite nickname that I came up with based off of IMJP's golden-haired golden boy, which is probably everyone's least favorite one that Rich came up with, although I love both of them.
That's legendary. That's OG stuff right there. That's what we came here today for. Okay, so I'm going to ask myself the question that you and Rich love to ask and I love to answer. If I'm Ruben, what do I do here in order to come back? Is it possible? I think the best way around it is to try to stack up those princesses and those dark goblins. I mean, we've seen Bait, this exact version of Bait, win a difficult matchup already today. You have to apply a lot of dual lane pressure. You have to force your opponent on defense and prevent those offensive lightning cycles. You cannot let Muhammad Light just lightning cycle you. You need to apply pressure.
I know, and I think that pressure has to come in both lanes, but it also makes it just so difficult because you don't want to give any counter push on that right-hand side.
True.
And so you see Ruben just kind of piling up here on the left. There it is on the right-hand side. And yeah, guards, great call. Hog Rider in the back. And this just becomes, I mean, the defense from Muhammad Light is just impeccable right now. Oh man, if that Hog got a hit, I would have thrown Ruben's phone for him.
Yeah, it was close. Darkov does get the job done. But then once again, you see what happens though if you stack everything on the left side. That log value is so good, and Muhammad Light knows how to use that log on his opponent's side of the map. He is locked in on the defense with those tornado placements, with those guards plus Ice Spirit. It's looking more and more impossible for Ruben as time goes on here.
Princess does stay alive, but Executioner snipes it.
Or the missed tornado.
NATO. Yeah, missed NATO from Mo is. He kind of laughs it off. We'll see if he can punish it all here.
There it is. Everything played at the bridge. Log 9 cycle right now. Mo's going to be getting to that log very quickly, though. And yeah, what a defense.
And he got like 2 goblin stabs from all of that juice.
Yeah, and then just the eggsy in the back. That just kind of feels like the final nail in the coffin there without rocking Ruben's deck. Just eggsy in the back. It's like, yeah, good luck. Try to break through.
Yep, and then guards go to the back because that's the only safe place to play the barrel. Hog comes in to bait out Elixir, misses the cannon pull. GG, that should do it. I mean, he does defend. He does defend.
Yeah, but once again, we talked about it. It's not about defense at this point. You need damage. But unfortunately, you're going against the world champ, and he knows exactly where every single one of those goblin barrels are. I think that's one of the things I struggle with most, at quote-unquote at a high level, is like I do struggle at trying to figure out where that barrel is in the intense and like high-pressure situations, but Mo knows every single time. He knows exactly where you place the barrel. He knows he can fully counter that barrel with just an Ice Spirit because it's in the back.
Yep, yeah, beautifully called there, Juice. Yeah, 3 to the inside, 3 to the back, 3 to the front, or whether it's the regular placement, like there's a reason why it's played that way, and Mohamed Light is reading Ruben's mind. Beautiful stuff here from our reigning world champion against our former world champion, as Mohamed Light brings this 10-6 Zoomers over Boomers.
I think it's funny. Ruben was kind of the MVP, or he is still the MVP of the Boomer team here. But I think the Zoomers kind of got into the think tank after that first set. They're like, you know what? It's time to play the trump card against Ruben here. If there's anyone that's going to take him down, it's 100% going to be Mo. And that's exactly what happens here.
That's a great call there. And honestly, this is a really great... The best of one, the 3v3 best of one is sneakily impactful on the score, right? Because it's each one of them is worth 1 point, whereas the best of threes are each worth 1 point. So the Zoomers doing a great job there, really extending their lead here over the Boomers. And still a few more sets to be played, still some more rewards to be given out. We're getting very, very close to that next one, and can't wait to give up that 4-star lucky drop. Very, very much excited about that. And, you know, you and I, we have our phones ready. Make sure you guys have your phones ready at home. And here we go. Zoomers versus Boomers. Prizes being given away. And I'm going to lock this one down. Here we go, guys. Get your phones out. Screenshot. Get your phones. Take a picture. Whatever you need to do. This is the big one. 4 stars. And, of course, the emote. I'm actually really excited about that emote. I do not have it on my second account. I do have it on my OG account. 4 stars. I'm sticking to 4. I don't get the 5th, and I get 2,500 Electro Spirits. Okay. All right. I feel medium about it. What did you guys get in the chat? Let us know. Very much excited to see it. 152,500 of you guys have voted. 63% of you still want to see the Boomers come out on top. They are currently down by 4. They have a lot of ground to cover. Here we go. We got Eddie Steffi, it looks like. 12,000 elite wild cards. That's awesome. 4,600 earthquakes. I'll take it. 70 epics. Not bad. 40,000 gold. 40,000 gold is pretty legit, honestly. I mean, one wild shard. Happy about that. Useless gold. Useless to you, Chris Tech. Not useless to everybody. 457 Goblin Explosions. I think you maybe meant Curse or maybe Goblin Demolisher there, but either way, probably not exactly what you wanted. So happy for the 4-star gold, says Hernandez. Don't know if that's real or not. 10,000 Elite Wild Cards. Love to see it. Doesn't work. I think you're not working, my friend.
User error.
I'm here to help. We are here to help you. What's that, Juice?
I said user error on that guy's part. Come on.
Yeah, user error for sure.
I just opened it up. Let's see what I get. 4 stars. It's spinning. 471 Goblin Demolishers. I'll actually take that. Rares are kind of hard to upgrade, especially if you're free to play. And Goblin Demolisher, I feel like it's kind of an underrated card right now. It did get kind of a sneaky buff recently, and I think it's pretty good in Goblin Drill. It's just one of those cool cards. It's like a mix of Bomber and Wall Breakers.
Yeah, I saw you running it yesterday, and I was like, huh, this card's actually, it's back. It seems to be being used again, so I'd love to see that. Gunu, thanks. I got 8 Archer Queens. Love to see that.
That's the good stuff.
5 Diamond Passes. You're lying.
You're lying.
You're lying
you
to
can't
me,
get
and you're
Diamond
lying
Passes.
to everyone.
You can't get Diamond Passes out of Lucky Drops, guys. Stop it. Stop
There's too many people here watching, and we know that you're not telling the truth. Wow, 32 epics. That's so bad. Hey, Luhan, maybe for you, but not for everybody.
Oh my gosh.
Love to see it. 4-star drop right there, guys. Remember, as Juicy said, great point. If you have other accounts, you can pull up that other account. You can get all these rewards on every single one of your accounts. You can pause the screen and get all 4 QR codes up on the screen at once. So you can just go boom, 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 boom if you are just joining us. And of course, we still have that awesome. I mean, we're talking about the rocket a lot today. We have that great rocket emote that is going to be given away here in the next 30 minutes. We've got few more sets to go. We got our best of 3 1v1. We got our best of 3 2v2. And then, of course, we have our King of the Hill. So a classic CRL day is remaining, where we got 1v1 best of 3. Although, was it best? It was best of 3, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. And then 2v2, and of course, King of the Hill, which we saw some great stuff from all of our competitors. And I know Juicy and I are very, very excited to see. You know, as you said, Juice, it looked like the Zoomers went back into the lab, figured things out for that best of 1 set. Now I'm really excited to see what everyone does in the 2v2, obviously, because there was just crazy stuff there in that 2v2 set.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, last time we saw Muhammad Light and Lucas lose in 2v2. I think they finished during the first 2v2 ladder. I think they finished like second. I think actually like Newbie and someone else actually ended up taking first. But wow, I mean, Pompeo and Sergio Ramos doing a great job in that set. I can't wait to see it again. I love the 2v2 without Evos. I think maybe next, I don't know, it's too much to ask, but next time there's a 2v2 ladder,
you're doing it,
we should do a retro 2v2 ladder. That would be crazy.
There it is. He's combining it. I knew it. I knew you were going to say it. I was right there with you as you were going on it. That would be pretty wild. Yeah. I mean, why not? This game has been out for so long now. We've played so many different modes, so many different times. What does it hurt? Like I said, I love the change up of retro. I love the change up of ban cards in the global tournament. I love 2v2. 2v2 retro would be pretty awesome. And as you can see right now, the 2v2 retro is great. You know, it's really exciting. You know, it's clear that the pros are still trying to figure it out because it is so fresh. I mean, that's one thing that I doubt people have practiced much playing retro is, I mean, I guess it would be, can you do that? Can you do friendly battle 2v2 retro? Is that how, I mean, that must be how they're doing it.
You probably could. That's a good question, though. You just have to, like,
use the cards, maybe.
Yeah, maybe you just have to, like, do your own rules. But
yeah,
I wonder actually if you can go to like the party mode while you're in the retro mode. I don't know, probably not, but it's a cool idea. I think it could be implemented. Also, if we're just spitballing ideas here or into the next match, we should have a 2v2 global tournament. I mean, we got the ban global tournament. Maybe instead of like the mirror game mode, you know, no one likes the mirror game mode, get a little 2v2 global tournament.
Now here's a couple questions or 2 things.
Right.
One, I'm here to help says it now works. The QR code was covered by the banner. Love to hear it. So happy that you're getting your drop. Second thing, in the global tournament, Juicy 2v2 global tournament, no teammates, and you're only paired with someone within a win or 2 of you. What about that?
Crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
That way you got to show up to play, but then you know there's going to be people that are just going to sabotage you. It'd be so infuriating. But once you get past like what, maybe like 10 wins, you imagine that everyone is probably pretty dialed in.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that. I'd be down for a 2v2 global tourney with no teammates. It sounds wild.
It could be. It would be hilarious at the very least. It would be content.
Yeah.
It would definitely be content. You get into the match. Your teammate's name would be Gorby, and he would either be the best or the worst teammate ever, and that's what would make it fun.
Yeah, and then we bring in voice chat, and then Clash Royale goes downhill. So we won't do the voice chat with the unknown 2v2 partners. But I agree. I would watch that stream all day, dude, all day.
All right, guys, we are in Morton versus Muhammad. Skeleton Barrel inbound from Morton. Ice Golden Skeleton Barrel, interesting deck so far. A nice log from Mo. If you guys are wondering, why did Mo play that log so far back? And it's because he was at 10 elixir. He wanted to play the log as quick as possible while also countering the Skeleton Barrel correctly. It's an interesting idea. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what Morton's deck is, though. I mean, Molai, obviously, with just the normal bait deck, he's going to have the Rocket since he has Ice Spirit instead of Dark Goblin. I just don't know. I don't know. Morton, I mean, it's got to be a miner in this deck, right? You can't just have Skeleton Barrel. Maybe a balloon. Maybe he's playing Speedy Balloon. No, that would be insane. Everyone, type 3 in chat if you think that Morton is playing Speedy Balloon in the Retro Royale here. That would be wild. The Skeleton Barrel pushing the balloon forward. Now I can't unsee it. It has to be that. It has to be that. Please. Nice Skeleton predict. I like that. But the Princess just launched. If you're going to predict with the skeletons, you got to be ready to block it, right? Okay, it is just a miner. It still could be Speedy Balloon. I'm not giving up. It could be Speedy Balloon, guys. Last card. Nah, it's not. It's not Speedy Balloon. It can be because he has log. It's another instructive idea, guys. If you ever are making an air-based deck with Balloon, you want a spell that is able to take out air units. So we will probably more likely see a Snowball here. But I guess the last card is probably just like a poison. I guess he's just got kind of an interesting minor skeleton barrel poison cycle deck. And yeah, once again, Mo just with the bait here. So we'll see. I would say Mo's probably got an advantage because of two reasons. Because he's Muhammad Light, because he's the best player ever, but also I just like the defensive capabilities here. I think that you do a good job of just defending against the miner and rocket cycling. But I do think I kind of take it back. I think it really depends on what Morton's last card is. Because if it is a poison, he's going to have a lot of possibilities for damage. And there you go. Mo knows that he needs the rocket cycle. He's dropping the rocket immediately. He plays it far back in case he's able to hit something. And once again, these princesses at the bridge. Oh my gosh. The princess does such... Dude, it's still locked. It's still locked. It's like a mortar splashing tower right now. And he's protecting it so well. Look at those Goblin Gang Spear Gobs just surrounding her. It's like, President, go get down. Like, I'm here.
Did you think that log bait was going to be as dominant as it was today? Like, as prevalent as it was?
Not this version. Like, I never expect the rocket version in, like, a quote-unquote competitive scene here, but we're actually seeing the classic bait quite a lot.
And Morton going back to that Skelly Barrel Miner combo with a completely different look, though. I do like this deck. I mean, we'll see if it works. It obviously he's a little bit behind, but doing okay.
Ooh,
oh, he catches it.
That one bad preventing the princess at the bridge there. That's actually a big difference maker here. He's going to have to defend this push, and he's going to have to continue the rocket cycle. Okay.
1591, 1454. And Morton making this a great game here.
Nice. Log just dropping through. And it is the poison after all. So it's another similar situation. It's like it's about rocket cycle and can the Goblin Barrel get through, and it's versus the minor poison. What is going to be able to do more damage? The minor poison, more consistent getting there, but look at the princess on the right. He's forcing the poison.
That is a rough poison to have to come out. Then Mo immediately goes in with the rocket of his own, knowing that spell damage is going to be really hard to make up for now that poison had to go out that late to the other side. Miner comes in, poison goes down. Enough time for another rocket for sure.
Log on offense. Here comes the barrel. Does he get a hunter for defense? The hunter. Ooh, but those goblins still hit.
Yeah, great play by going to the front of the tower there, knowing that Morton would most likely play the hunter in the back. Is there enough time here? Miner goes in. Skellies are on the tower. Morton should take it. Wow.
My goodness. Morton, big smiles here. Big upset versus Muhammad Light. He calls the good game. And Mo's not happy. Mo is not happy. I'm not going to lie. He does not look happy right now.
Oh, man. Morton taking some revenge there from Mo Light. 7-10 still here for Zoomers versus Boomers. Zoomers in the lead, but Morton now in the lead here in this best of 3. And what a fun deck. I mean, that deck right there is old school Morton. That's a deck that I would love to try out. It's got Log and Poison in it and Miner, some of my favorite cards. I love Barrel, Ice Golem in there. It just seems like it's just a lot of fun. Be able to really control the game with that deck.
Yeah, I mean, when he started out playing this deck, I could not figure what it was. Like, it was like, he didn't play the Miner for a while. He was just playing Skeleton Barrels and Ice Golems. And he was playing defense. He waited to play that poison for a really long time. And honestly, I thought that he actually lost when he played that poison on those two princesses on the right. I thought that he needed that for offense, but it seems like Mo Light maybe just overcommitting slightly. And it's just going back what we talked about before, right? When you rocket cycle without evolutions, you do not have that get out of jail free card. Mm-hmm. And we've seen twice now today dropping a rocket on offense and just not being able to defend after that. It's very interesting.
Yeah, you keep bringing that up, and it is so fascinating when you think about what evolutions have done in that sense. Like, there really is, and it does have its positives and its negatives, right? Some games get to a point where they're just completely unwinnable, and that's always really frustrating. But then there's the other side of it where you can really take a huge swing and come back into a game that you were completely out of, So I do really like that punishment from the Rocket is a little bit more relevant, a little bit more prevalent here in this Retro Royale, because it is really, really frustrating when, you are getting rocket cycled in the game right now, and your opponent only has half the elixir you have. But if that half elixir, like you said, is an Evo Valkyrie, or it used to be like a perfectly placed and timed Evo Ice Spirit, right? All of a sudden, it just made it completely, there was just no way. There's just no way to come back into it. So, yeah, really interesting there. Mohamed Light getting punished by maybe seeing the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit too soon, and Morten up game number 1 here in this best of 3.
Okay. So we have an Ice Wiz, Knight, Skeletons from Mo, and we have what looks to be that classic bait from Morten here. And here comes the Graveyard. So I think this is going to be the splasher variation I was talking about not too long ago, but basically just has Skeletons instead of a log. But this might be the one matchup where you maybe wouldn't like that. Maybe you would rather have the log instead of that quick cycle when you're going against a deck where the whole purpose is to bait that log out. You can't, baiting the log doesn't do anything if they don't have a log. And that just means that they've already accomplished the goal from the get-go.
Yeah, so we'll see how Mohamed Light wants to make up for that. I mean, early on, it's not going to be as much difficulty to deal with, but as this game moves forward, as we get deeper into double and into triple, and obviously Morten with this deck wielding log bait is a very formidable foe. So
true.
Mohamed Light has got his work cut out for him.
Very true. Baby Drag does get a hit here. That's solid damage. Two hits.
Wow.
Wow, really solid damage. But then the Gombro comes through. No log and cycle, no tornado and cycle. Ice Wiz does the best he can. In order for Mo Light to win this, he's going to once again rely on that Baby Dragon. That Baby Dragon is so key in Retro Royale in so many different matchups, especially versus log bait deck.
And I think Morten needs to really make sure that he's making Mo Light use those nados in places that he doesn't want to. To kind of wrangle, like a push like this, kind of pull it back, or to wrangle a princess together with some other smaller, like a princess plus ice spirit, whatever it might be, to make sure that Baby Dragon get on top of the princess. It'll be interesting to see how Mo Light uses that nado moving forward. Nice from the Morten. Oh wow, he still gets the King Tower activation, even though it looked like it was in the right spot. But was the Knight tanking, or was it just one tile over to the right?
I would say in general with the Gombro placement, unless you play it like really, really far away from the tower, you can always activate King, but it will cost you damage with specific placement. And that's kind of what Morten was going for there. He did kind of get what he wanted from that interaction. Mo Light also happy with the King activation, but I mean, this is a solid damage lead at this point.
Nice block with the Ice Spirit there at the bridge, keeping that Princess Tower locked on the Skelly. Now a Knight can come down, and look at that damage on the right-hand side. Now going to have Skellies come down as well. Morten doing a great job of keeping up the pressure here in both lanes.
Yeah, the damage is great, but I also want to point out Morten's got a super OG variation of log bait here without a building, but with Tornado instead. This is super OG because back in the day, Tornado used to have a ridiculous pull radius. It used to pull even stronger to the point where you didn't even need a building. But I think it's very important to note here, if Morten can activate his King Tower versus the Baby Dragon using that Tornado plus one other card, it's going to be a big difference maker in the rest of the overtime.
Morten keeping up the pressure on this right-hand side. Knight does cross the bridge for Mo. Ice Spirit to the back, Princess behind King.
Wow.
Gang to the front.
Defense.
Yeah, really nice defense there. 1550, 1483.
Yeah, and
70 seconds remain.
Yeah, and the rocket cycle is kind of inevitable here. You have to be a little bit shaken if you're Mo here. There it is, rocket coming through. As soon as it hits triple elixir, Morten confident in his ability to defend now. Mo Light needs to break through on offense.
And Gang way deep, trying to get that second knight down. There's the second knight. 2 princesses on the right-hand side make it so that those knights actually are going to be able to deal with these baby dragons. 12:04, 8:23, 40 seconds remain. Another graveyard comes in from Mo Light. Gang up high. NATO comes in. Beautiful play there from Mohamed Light to get good damage in, but I think...
So
wow,
close.
that Larry almost got another hit.
So close. 900 to 823. Tornado on offense. Unexpected. Mo Light doesn't expect it, and that's rocket range.
Yeah, you see Mo Light with a smile on his face. What a beautiful NATO from Morton.
Wow.
2 up, 2 down. Boomers taking that best of 3 1v1. And you know what I still love is even though there's no money on the line, even though there's no points on the line, the greatness in these players, you can see how much they all still hate losing. It's a beautiful thing to see these competitors still want it in a Retro Royale competition.
And I love Morton's reaction too. It's just like, yeah, you're in my realm now, Mo. You're in my realm now. This is OG Clash. I got the bait tornado. That graveyard is never going to have a tank. I'm going to use my tornado and all of my units to block at the bridge. And then the rocket cycle, perfectly timed. He knows exactly when to go for that rocket. He doesn't make that mistake that Mo Light made in the previous match. Going for that rocket and not having enough elixir for defense. Morton, perfectly played. Love it.
Like you said, the second that ticked to triple elixir, that rocket was out. Perfect timing there. Then started stacking princesses on the right-hand side of the board, knowing they would assist with what was going on the left-hand side of the board without giving too much NATO or poison value or spell value, baby dragon value, whatever it may be. Really nicely played. And then, of course, the early cycled skeletons from Mo shows his hand a little bit. Morton can go for the nail in the coffin with the aggressive Goblin Barrel NATO push. Yes, love to say it in 2025. Goblin Barrel NATO push from Morton to close things out. And what a great set. I mean, everyone's having fun today. Love to see it. Love to see the action we're going on to. And now, what you and I were talking about, Juice, back to that 2v2 set. What's pretty crazy is both of our 1v1s were sweeps. Right? I think they were. I think the last 1v1 set was, and I think this one was, one going to the Zoomers, one going to the Boomers. And I guess just another quick fun thought is just how competitive this has still been, even as we've got to the reset, all throughout the day. Whether we're talking just points, the gameplay has also been exceptionally competitive. There's only been a few blowout games. You know, I think Surgical got in a really tough spot matchup-wise, especially in that one with the, you know, when he only had Lightning and Mega Minion to deal with everything in the skies. So it has just been an absolute blast. About to get into 2v2, then King of the Hill to close things out. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. 10.5 million people are here, are subscribed to the Clash Royale channel on YouTube. Why not add another million more? There's about 40,000 of you guys watching. We could add some great numbers to that, and that way you guys can keep up to date on all the broadcasts that come out, all the events that come out, and of course, Esports Royale and Clash Royale on X. I think it's the first time I've said that out loud. I usually always still say Twitter because I am a boomer, but go and follow along
right
with
there
that.
With you, bro.
Yeah, I just something about it. I can't do it. Can't do it, Juice.
Yeah.
Who you have been shadow banned on that platform for as long as I've known you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know. I won't get into it, but let's talk about this next 2v2 set. This is one 2v2 or one set in this mode where maybe the Boomers actually kind of have that experience. They kind of have that edge. We did see Pompeo and Sergio Ramos win the first 2v2 set, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen here because I think they need it. I think they need the points if they're going to make the comeback here versus the Zoomers. They need to basically do the best they can here in this 2v2.
I know. I'm so curious if it's just going to be, are they just going to run it back or do they have to change things up? I mean, obviously we're trying to, get it so everyone plays the same amount per team. But that being said, do they just run the exact same roster that they did before? Or maybe it'd be fun to see like Morton and Surgical Goblin together on a team for the Boomers as, two guys that, there was a moment there where Surgical actually kind of switched over to 2v2 and ended up being really great in that spot. And here we go. Lucas and Pedro, Pompeo and Sergio. Pomp and Sergio are going to run things back again, and Lucas and Pedro, this is definitely a fun 2v2 team, and an aggressive RG Lumberjack on the right-hand side for the Boomers.
This is exciting. We have the Giant versus Royal Giant, the Brethren. We'll see who is able to win this. Looks like we have a double Lumberjack too, and with that Rage, Nah, no, never mind. Giant not making the tower. Great tornado there.
Interesting. Yeah, no, Giant doesn't get to the tower, and I'm wondering, would that NATO have been better to activate King, Juicy? Or do you think it was better to kind of pull everything back to that Giant skeleton, make sure that Prince stays off the board?
Good question. I personally probably would have gone for the King activation because I just love it. But I don't know if it would work because once again, the Giant, he's a thick guy, man. He's pretty big. Sometimes he doesn't like to get tornadoed, and he just keeps hitting that tower, and that's just not what you want.
Lightning comes out, I guess, just a half step late, even though it seemed like a perfect prediction. Actually does not hit the Ice Spirit, so the Ice Spirit is able to slow things down for a second. Kind of a bit of luck and fortune there for the Boomers.
True. Yeah, it makes a big difference. I think that push could have gone a lot differently, especially with the guards having to be cycled too. And then I just realized there's 2 princes too. This is interesting. They can just keep applying the pressure. Here comes another Giant Prince Lumber combo with a double Mega Minion. I think that was an accident, but maybe it's ended up gonna work out actually.
Yeah, their decks are so similar, Pedro and Lucas's. Juice, if you look, right? Top of the screen, they look... Oh, wow!
And look at the reaction.
Yeah, everyone felt that Prince hit.
Oh my gosh. Prince, I must say, Prince needs a nerf. Make it have the same kind of charge as a Dark Prince. It seems like these princes are everywhere, and you can see once again the reaction there. It's like, wow, that 1 HP Prince really just did that.
I know, Prince is like scary strong right now.
Yeah.
He just demands so much attention, does so much damage, and yeah, that last little... Oh, and he's going to connect again. And there you go, Cannon has to come down. Plus the Goblins, that is a double drop there from the Boomers.
Tough. I mean, yeah, that's the fun part about 2v2. There is a lot of skill that goes into it because there's a lot of, what would be the word? I don't know. Communication, there you go. Communication is necessary. But it's hard, though. It's hard to communicate when there's a charging Rage Prince right next to your tower.
Yeah, those repeat interactions can be absolutely devastating, but like you're saying, Juice, you got to get it down. You got to get something to protect your tower in that moment. And here we go. Giant Skeleton left-hand side. Lightning comes in on the bottom. A little bit of false hope there for the Boomers as Pedro and Lucas take a pretty dominant win in game number 1. And I mean, that just felt like... That felt like almost like what the problem with 2v2 was. And I'm not saying I didn't like what I saw there, and I don't think it was a problem, but it just felt like Pompeo and Sergio Ramos had no idea how to respond. And then Lucas and Pedro were just like, we can just drop everything at the bridge over and over again. These princes are so powerful. They don't have a lot of DPS to melt the Giants and then deal with the Prince. Great stuff there from the Zoomers.
Yeah, it was a fun game. They put the pedal to the metal, and I'm really interested to see what Pompeo was talking about at the end there. He seems like he's always talking. He always looks like he's having so much fun. But my guess, if I had to guess, I'm probably wrong, but he's probably like, man, Prince is OP. Let's just copy those decks, and let's run it back. Let's see what happens in the Giant mirror matchup. We saw the roll Giant versus Giant, but now maybe we'll see a Giant versus Giant.
Yo, our moment. It has come, Juicy.
There it is.
Guys, you got all the chests. You got the 4-star. Now it's time to get the free emote. What a great way to get the community involved in this great tournament. All these great prizes. We love a free emote. We love the lucky drops. We've seen a lot of great rewards from people in the chat. People very excited about it, and I did not have this emote on one of my accounts, so really happy about getting that. Oh my gosh, I actually don't think I had it on either of my accounts. I'm actually shocked.
Legendary. Guys, you can scan the QR code for any Clash Royale account you have. Just sign in to which account you want it to go on first in your Clash Royale app, then close the app, go to your camera, or take a screenshot of the QR code, and you can get it on all of your accounts if you have multiple. Great emote. Question for everyone in the chat. Would you guys rather have this emote or a 4-star lucky drop? Which was more important to you guys? Because I know there's a lot of emote fanatics out there. I talked to so many people in my chat where it's like, guys, best way to upgrade your account, best way to progress is playing challenges. Save your gems. Only use your gems for challenges. That's what I say. And they're like, no, I only buy emotes with my gems.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I mean, I've pulled a couple emotes from chests ever since they got introduced, maybe like less than 5 since they've been introduced, and I've opened a lot of lucky drop chests. So a guaranteed emote is pretty rare. And since I have a maxed account, I think that's you know what? I'll do one from both. My maxed account, I want the emote. My other account, I want a 4-star drop that could maybe be a 5, right? Because as you know, on your free to play series and all those is your speed runs as well. Those upgrades are really hard to come by, and they really are valuable when you get a really great drop from those chests.
So true. So going along these lines, Andrew, I'm actually curious. There was a huge controversy with the voting system. There was a vote for either a 5-star lucky drop or a full Valkyrie evolution. Which one would you rather have?
Oh man, I couldn't believe we didn't get the 5-star, dude. I wanted the 5-star so bad. I mean, you could have gotten a full evolution from the 5-star, and I think the worst case scenario when you have a 5-star is still pretty dang good. So I don't know. I was definitely a little sad there, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that was a whoa. Oh gosh, sorry. I had to stop talking for a second because I thought that giant skeleton might make the tower, but a really nice kite back just barely. This is insane. I did not even think about this possibility for 2v2, but we have a double giant skeleton, double clone deck. I actually remember playing this deck in 2019 with wings in 2v2 with mirror as well. Just spamming clones everywhere with 2 giant skeletons, just destroying the entire map. It was crazy.
Man, so many words in that sentence just brought me joy. Shout out to Wings, one of the OGs. And yeah, it is really interesting to see this. I do remember this. I remember decks that were like this. The clone push, the overwhelm. Just happy to see clone actually be here in a match, and a great lightning there from the boomers.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't expect that to hit the lumberjack, but they just barely caught it, and they're in a very comfortable damage lead, and they know it. That's why they're just dropping the cannon down.
Lucas and Pedro may be having a little bit too much fun right now, and they're gonna have to dial it in here as we start into double elixir. Giant skeleton plus some bats on the right hand side, and having a NATO and an ice wizard and a baby dragon, definitely not the matchup that you wanted to see when you decided to come out with a clone push.
So true, and there it is. That you see why that is the case right there. We have ice wiz, baby dragon on the board. As soon as that clone hits, the tornado is already placed, just wiping everything off the board.
Nice Ewiz Ice Spirit Log combination to clean all that up, and a very aggressive push here on the right-hand side. And I don't know if that was a predictive Ice Spirit to keep the Lumberjack back, but whatever it was, pretty nice start to the defense there from the Zoomers, but a nice finish on offense here from the Boomers.
I just realized they're playing Witch as well. Okay,
yeah.
Giant Skelly Clone, I understand. But Witch is crazy. Witch, especially in 2v2, is wild to me just because it seems like it's just a lot of spell value.
Yeah, yep. And the Witch recently got a buff that has made her more effective, at least in the game that we're used to playing right now, but not quite as effective right now for Lucas and Pedro. And it was at the beginning of the year, Witch was able, she got an increased splash radius, so she's getting usually a little bit more damage on towers when you drop a unit in the back, and she's played a little bit more aggressively. So shout out to the Witch, getting a little bit of love here. It's been 2 years since the last time she was looked at by our dev team, and honestly, it's been a few years since we've seen a deck like this in 2v2, and maybe it should have just stayed buried in the past.
Yeah, wow. The tornado, the arrows drop down, and now we see the spell cycle, fireball on offense, arrow on offense with the lightning, and one more log or tornado will do the trick. There it is. GG's.
And all evened up here. Lucas and Pedro having a blast, even though they did lose. Looking at that ocean of elixir left on the board, and every single time that it seemed, I mean, I think they knew from the very beginning, even the very first push when the Ice Wiz was the only card out, even before the NATO was played, they were probably like, this does not look good. If there's an Ice Wizard, there's probably a NATO and probably a baby dragon, and this is going to be a very brutal matchup.
Yeah, I think the only thing that maybe can be done there is you both got to drop a giant skeleton in the back in opposite lanes, and you need to both have your own giant skeleton clone push where you try everything you can to force out a tornado on either side. But that's the thing about Tornado is the radius is so huge that sometimes you can just play it on both sides even.
Yeah, you can kind of pull. I've seen you do this a bunch where you just kind of pull one of the sides more towards the middle, and then all of a sudden that tornado is able to hit or defend both sides. And I completely agree. You know, obviously that was a really tough matchup, but the one time where it looked like Lucas and Pedro had even any chance of breaking through was when they had the big push on the right hand side, and then it was just a naked giant skeleton on the left. I think if they would have taken that to the next level, like what you're talking about, split it up from the beginning, maybe each of them are able to get a second giant skeleton down, each of them having their own clone push on either side. That goes back to what we talked about in game one, which is we saw Sergio and Pompeo make a couple small communication mistakes when they were really under the wire, right? The double drops, you know, defending, over defending. That's where you can maybe hope that happens, is if you have two giant skeleton clone pushes. But you know, that was a pretty good matchup for the Boomers there.
Yeah, so now we're in the game 3. Once again, Boomers really need to take a victory here if they're going to get enough points to try and tie this up. I think that Pompeo and Sergio are doing a great job, though. I think their communication's on point. They're playing pretty well. And as long as they can, I mean, maybe they can get a pretty good matchup yet again. But the question is, does Lucas and Pedro just go back to the giant prince that they had ridiculous amounts of success with in the game 1?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we were just talking about how much we love to see these competitors still want it even in this competition, and I think that's what Lucas and Pedro should do, is at least go to something different than what we saw. I don't think they're going to go giant skeleton clone again, but I would like to see either that heavy beatdown, or I was going to say, I want to see some bait. I want to see some double bait. We know that Sam and Morton were able to run double bait on Classic 2v2. I'm sure it would be very strong in Retro 2v2 because bait's been really strong.
Tornado on the miner, and maybe this is a pseudo bait deck. Maybe like kind of half miner poison, half bait here. Very interesting. I like the king activation. That should help defense for the majority of the rest of this game here.
Spears? I like spears in 2v2. They usually are kind of frustrating to deal with. Nice King Tower activation there for the Boomers.
That was interesting. I didn't know. I guess it makes sense that since the King Tower is a little bit closer to the Princess Tower in 2v2, but that looked like a safe placement of the miner from where I was looking, but they did a great job of getting that King active, and I think it's actually a little bit more, I guess, impactful for Pompeo and Sergio. I think that the King Tower activation versus these cycle decks is just a little bit better than versus a lot of them.
Yeah, that's a great call, Juice. I always have the broadcast on my second monitor just so I can look back in case I missed anything, and you were 100% right. That miner was in the safe spot, but because this is 2v2, that means that there's actually really only one safe spot then.
Right.
You've got to go to that very top right corner, not the OG safe spot, if you will. So just something to note there, and a great call out by you.
Okay, and we are heading to double elixir. This will be interesting. I do like that Pedro and Lucas is going opposite lane. In general, people always ask me, like, why, when and where. Wait, this tornado's gotta be. Oh, I wish he tornadoed. I would have loved to hit that dark, see the dark get hit too. But once again, people ask me, when and where should I go opposite lane? And I think in general, if your opponent's deck is heavier, you should go opposite lane.
Okay. And right now, good damage coming in here for Sergio. Great NATO to clean things up. Spear is going to help out. 1239, 1158. Zoomer's in the lead by just a hair. Nice high cannon here to get on top of that Valkyrie early.
I just, like, had a complete, like, brain fart. Like, wait, did they mirror rocket? They have mirror. Wait, they mirror rocketed on defense. Wait, this is crazy. There's a rocket on defense dropping again. And I think the idea... Wait,
ooh, that's trouble. That's tough, game. Though. Yeah, that's real tough. Poison's in. Double miners down.
Okay, pretty cannon for the princess. They know they just need to cycle back to their big spells to get the victory. And you see the double drop on defense, too. Yep. And both these cards have shields, so it doesn't give rocket value.
Yeah, that's a great call and a great play by our Boomers there, knowing they don't want to give it away. Bomber come down late to clean things up, so you're still not giving a good trade. There's a miner. There's the arrows. Need the lightning. Ooh, almost gets the block in. And now poison coming down.
Miner
poison tick. Needs the tick. Woo!
GG's. It's
not enough. Closer than I'd like it to be.
Yeah, it's very close. It's fun though. And Pompeo and Sergio taking yet another win for the Boomers. That's going to put us at 10-11 score. This is so close.
Wow.
This is way closer than anyone expected. This is insane.
Yeah, this is absolutely amazing. You love to see it. Boomers pick up the 2v2 set once again. Morton is able to take that 1v1. The Zoomers do end up taking the edge in our best of ones. And now it all comes down to, just like we used to say, King of the Hill. We love to see it. What a great way to close out. I mean, I think we were both, I mean, we actually didn't even talk about it, but I think if you were looking at the way the rules were and the way the points were distributed, you're like, well, this could just be a lot of for fun games as we get through the second set, but it has been so competitive. Everything's still mattering. Absolutely love to see it. And then these guys are going to bring their absolute best. No one wants to be the reason that your team drops the ball in King of the Hill, even in a Retro Royale competition.
And let's look at the community kind of predictions here. We see Zoomers at the 69% versus Boomers 31%, but that's not how the points are shaping up today. It's looking a lot closer to 50-50, and it's really all going to come down to this King of the Hill here. And I think the biggest reason for this is, I mean, Muhammad Light is not really showing up like we thought he would. He's lost some 1v1 sets. He's lost a 2v2 set. It's really interesting. Maybe the OG Royale is just something that he's not used to, not practiced with.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, is maybe he hasn't practiced with it as much. And then, someone like Pedro, on the other hand, seems like he's just like, all right, I know it works for me in regular Clash Royale. I'm going to try to implement that into OG. And then you have a bunch of people that's just kind of trying fun things. Maybe some Boomers playing what they used to play, or some Zoomers trying out decks that just look like they're fun. I mean, I really like that deck from Morton. I thought that was a really interesting Skeleton Barrel, Ice Golem, Miner deck. We saw some adjustments. Pedro did a great adjustment. He went from that Mortar deck, he went to a Cannon Hunter version because he realized he was lacking DPS. So it's been really fun to watch the decks evolve throughout the day. And here we are, guys. King of the Hill, last setup of the day. It's been great to have you guys all here. Great to see all the rewards that you guys have been winning in the chat. We love to see the numbers. And like I said before, make sure you're subscribed to the channel here on YouTube and to everything Clash Royale on the internet, on social media, to make sure that you guys catch all the announcements for all the events coming up in 2025. Next game up, Pompeo versus Muhammad Light, the greatest to ever do it against one of the greatest content creators to ever do it. We'll see how they stack up here in a Retro Royale King of the Hill. Juicy, we are real close here to close things out.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch this. In the first set, we didn't see Muhammad Light in the King of the Hill set because he did play 2v2. But this time, we got Mo Light, first round of the King of the Hill. It's possible that we see a Mo Light sweep here. It's going to be tough. Pompeo, I don't know. Will we see the Pompeo Loon? That's always the question when we see Pompeo.
I want to see a weird version of a Pompeo deck, but Spears out early on against the Knight. Probably not going to see it.
Pompeo with Spear Gobs and Hunter and a Mortar. Mo with the Inferno Dragon and Knight and Bowler. So most likely got to be a Graveyard deck here for Mo. And then Pompeo. Interesting. We'll see what kind of Mortar deck he's got in tow here.
So the Boomers technically have one life to give here, and that's a really nice NATO. Gonna let the bowler line up, gonna stop the kite, and I mean, wow, he has nothing.
Yeah, he gets the Hunter down when he can. It does take the Inferno Dragon, it does take the boulder, but this is, I just want to point out what just went down here. Like, I think the most instructive part about this push from Mo was actually realizing that Pompeo most likely had poison for the Graveyard, and he purposely played his Graveyard early. And if Pompeo was paying maybe a little bit more attention, he could have defended the Graveyard without the poison, because the tower was targeting the Graveyard, and that actually made the Inferno Dragon, the Boulder, the main threat in that push, because the Graveyard was tanking for the Boulder Inferno Drag, while the poison wasn't really doing like the best of job.
Yeah, great breakdown there, because that was so much damage that came in, and Pompeo was I don't think Pompeo thought he was as shorthanded as he ended up being there. Great NATO back, and this is just Mohamed Light doing Mohamed Light things, just living inside your mind. Perfect defense, super aggressive offense with not being at a massive elixir disadvantage, and that's why we love watching Momo play. 388 HP remains on Pompeo's bottom right-hand tower. Mohamed Light, 2890, his lowest tower.
I like the Hunter prediction in front of Drag, but there's enough space between the two that there's not going to be a two-shot. The front drag will stay alive and win that interaction, and it's just defending everything. Even the cannon card drops down. That is rough.
Yeah, the value from that Inferno is absolutely brutal. Pompeo laughing it off, but this game is pretty much all sewn up. I mean, Mohamed Light probably, last card is probably freeze, right? So, I mean, technically he doesn't have direct tower damage.
Right. Maybe it's possible that Pompeo has the craziest comeback of all time, but no poison on defense means that freeze is free reign, allowing all those Larrys connect to the tower.
So Mohamed Light doing what people hoped to see him do if he did come out in King of the Hill, which was a nice strong victory here in game one. And can he run the table? So that means that's going to be one more point towards the Zoomers, Juicy, which makes it 12-10, which means the Boomers have to win out if they want to even things up.
Yeah, next up for the Boomers, we do have Morton. We did see Morton beat Mohamed Light already in the 1v1 set. So if there's anyone going to bring him down, it's probably him. Very exciting stuff. And then behind Morton, we also have Ruben. So I would say the rest of this King of the Hill set is looking strong. And if the Boomers do win out here, they could actually win the whole thing. It's 10-12 in points. Every match is worth a point. I mean, anything can happen. Anyone can claim victory here.
We're still in it. The Boomers were still in it, guys. We still got a chance. It's just a very tough one, but we'll definitely have two great competitors, two of the best in the world, two of the best in history that you'd want running the end of this King of the Hill. Morton up next, and then Ruben, but obviously having to go through Mohamed Light is going to be a tall order. And even though there isn't anything up to grab, if the Zoomers do win one more of these games, then us Boomers are going to have to hang up the phones and give them the credit where credit's due, but I'm not willing to do it, Juicy. I'm not. I think we still got it. I think, like you said, the fact that there's still 3 points to be garnered by the Boomers, we can still pull off the upset. I have faith.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. Mohamed Light, he's very good, but he's not been performing like crazy well today. We'll see what he's going to play in this next match. I mean, I'm kind of assuming that we're going to see some more minor poison. He did have a lot of success with minor poison at the very beginning of the day, and it seems like if played well, especially that Pedro version of minor poison, the mini P.E.K.K.A., maybe there's just not a great way to counter it. Like you were asking me before, what do you do to counter minor Hunter mini P.E.K.K.A. poison? It's tough. I mean, maybe go lava, but even then you're going against a Hunter with quick cycle. Like a Hunter does a great job of kind of just controlling the air, even as the only air defense.
Yeah, it's actually been fascinating how much the Hunter has been just a force. I didn't realize it was going to be, I've already said this before, I didn't realize how dominant it was going to be today for so many reasons. You know, the fact that one card can basically cover every tank in the game and cover air has been a reason why it has just been absolutely dominant. And like I said, I want to try that deck out that Morton was running. It just seemed like a lot of fun. I love the combination of it. I love the quick cycle, you know, the minor poison aspect of it, the Hunter just to play quick smart defense. You know, what's also been really interesting is because we don't have champions and you don't have like that champion you're reliant on, it's been nice to see, like, you know, when you're running piggies with AQ, if your AQ is on the board for too long, you just can't defend the air. And that's been one nice thing about Retro Royale is that, like you said, not only is it a grindy game, but the cycle, being on top of your cycle and getting back to the card that you need. There's only one way to do it, and that's to play 4 cards to get back to it. There's no get out of jail free card, like you said. There's no 3-card cycles, none of that stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. If you guys have not tried Retro Royale and Clash Royale yet, you guys have to do it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was like a breath of fresh air. It was insane. When I first played, it was like, wow. He would have Evo Falcon cycle right about now, and I wouldn't be able to attack. But it's almost like I don't know how to describe it. It's like very mentally like euphoric almost to realize that you don't have to constantly be keeping track of your opponent's Evo cycle.
Yeah, you get to just like lock in and play the game. You're like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is how they're defending. How am I going to beat that? You know, it is so nice to have that. I agree. When I first started playing, it's almost like PTSD. Like every time a Mega Knight comes down, I'm like, all right, next Mega Knight that comes down, I need to really think about how I want to defend it. Maybe I need to have my mortar in cycle so I just have a building so I can't knock it all over the board. And then I'm like, oh, wait, this is Retro Royale. It's just a Mega Knight. I don't have to worry about it. So if you guys haven't tried it out, like Juicy said, definitely go give it a try. It's been super, super fun. There's still a few more days left of it. And I think if you get in the top 1,000, you get like a fun little badge. So check it out.
All right, let's lock in on this game. This is probably the most important match of the day, actually, when it comes to the stakes. Whoa. Oh. Arrows drop down as soon as Mo has enough elixir. He's smiling a little bit, and Morton's getting psyched up here. He's like, huge damage connection. I love it. This is looking pretty good for Morton so far. But like I said, if Morton can beat Mo here, he's going to knock him out of the King of the Hill. And then I think there's a decent chance that Boomers maybe take the victory here with a comeback in points.
Would love to see it. Morton up by 1,100-ish HP, just a hair under. As he sets up that Musketeer at the back, another giant out. Mohamed Light, no big spell, so Morton happy to just cycle his Musketeers in the back.
And this is another big thing. We've talked about it a lot today, the difference between Log and Barbarian Barrel. But not only does it make it difficult to break through sometimes if your opponent is good at blocking at the bridge, but it's also more difficult for a non-big spell version of Graveyard to deal with glass cannons like the Musketeer. This Musketeer, if properly protected by Morton, will pretty much be immortal, especially on his side of the map.
And we just saw that, you know, that Musketeer was trying to get sniped off the board with a high cannon from Mo Light. Morton was able to get a log out, push that Hunter back, give it just enough space to get another shot to take the Hunter off the board. Glass Cannon putting in a ton of work before, putting in a ton of work now, gets another shot off, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Great way to put into practice exactly what you were saying, Juicy. That Musketeer got so much value once again, and now we see Mohamed Light hyper-aggressive opposite lane. The Kite, okay, Mini P.E.K.K.A up high, but this is a little bit more dangerous than I think Morton would like.
Yeah, Mini P.E.K.K.A gets taken out. That Hunter continues to tank. Graveyard does do some damage. I like the idea for Mo. He realizes that he can't just go same lane as his Musketeer, or else it will continue to pop off, but it's over. The zap resets the miner. What a play. Giant 1 HP. Muskie on the tower at 1 HP. And the tower just drops Morton. He might be the king of Retro Royale here.
I know, dude. I'm just like looking at his face, and it makes me so happy because you can see it on him. He's like, yeah. This is my game. This is the game that I used to dominate. And you can see him just really enjoying himself and playing it perfectly. I mean, he's got, when you talk about a guy that has played as long as he has at the highest level and has streamed as much as he has, you have to imagine out of everyone in this competition, he has probably spent the most time in this Retro Royale world, whether it was when it was just regular Clash Royale, and then as you've seen with his streams lately, and with yours as well, you're spending a lot of your streaming time in Retro just because it's nostalgic, it's fresh, it's fun. And the best players in the world are all kind of over there instead of Path of Legends right now, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's trying it out. But yeah, I mean, Morton, he's just got that experience. Like, I don't know. Mohamed Light, yes, he is the best player in the world, and nothing's going to change that right now. I don't think him losing a few games in this... I mean, I'm sure there's some people in the YouTube chat, as always. Oh, always. Mo's washed. Mo's washed. He lost 3 games. Oh, my gosh. But, I mean, for Retro Royale, Morton, I mean, dude, he's been playing this game for, like, since before I was born. Just kidding. But it's true. I mean,
but
it's
basically.
Not true, but yeah. I mean, you get the point.
Yeah, I mean, he spent so much time doing it, and you know that also back then, you know, CRL was a lot different, right? You know, CRL now is completely solo. Back then, it was teams. When you weren't playing, you were practicing with your team, and if you, you know, now when you're on your own, if you don't want to practice and you don't have a coach, or if your coach isn't like living with you like coaches used to, then you don't really have to practice if you don't want to. I mean, I think Samuel Basoto is one of the greatest examples of like, how is he so good when he plays so little, right? And then you saw like, yeah, it's just sheer talent. So, and that's, back to the conversation about Morton, is in that team's format, and you can speak to this, Juicy, when you guys are all living together, when you're all working, when you're all seeing each other every single day in person, it was just an outright grind all day, every day, whether you wanted it to be or not. And, I think there's obviously benefits to that. And I think there's benefits to having a little bit more of your own decision-making as a competitor. It is a solo esports. So, how you want to practice is how you want to play. And yeah, all that tangentially to be said, that we are back to 2 players left on either side in King of the Hill. Boomers going up against the Zoomers. Boomers are down by 1 point. Zoomers, if they take this, they can technically win the day if they're able to take down Morton. But Morton could eliminate the next 2 players and give the win to the Boomers. Neck and neck are we after this very, very fun, nice long broadcast. We've been live for about 3 hours now, giving us exactly what we wanted. We saw a couple sweeps in the 1v1s. We've seen back and forth in 2v2 and best of ones, and here we are in King of the Hill, 11-12. Let's go.
The craziest thing that could happen here is if Pedro beats Morton and then Ruben takes out Pedro and Lucas to make it a tie on the day. That would be insane.
Would love to see it. And here we go. Back to one of the most popular cards of the day. The Executioner going to get a nice snipe there on top of that Tombstone.
But he misses a log in the exi. And Pedro knows it. He's going all in. He's going guards bridge, no log in cycle. Ice Wiz drops down, but now the Knight is taking for the Executioner.
Yep.
And he's out of elixir.
He needed that Executioner to go down. The log coming out just a step early. Devastating blow here to Morton. And this game feels over as quickly as it started.
Pedro's looking at the camera. He's smiling. He's like, maybe that's not how I wanted to win this game, but I'm not going to say no, I'm going to take that damage. And we actually see Morton here with the Roll of Giant. I liked it. This is actually probably my favorite Retro Royale deck. It's basically like Splash Art except with a Roll of Giant and a Lightning. And Roll of Giant is just so strong. I think it, once again, but beside the Giant, very close to being like the best Wink Edition in Retro.
You see Lightning's out from both the players. Lightning comes down defensively for Pedro, keeps the XC alive. Guards do just enough. No damage in from the RG. And Executioner, MVP for the Zoomers so far.
Yeah, no kidding. The Executioner, we're getting a lot of value. We haven't seen it versus the Lightning. Usually the Lightning does counter, but once again, it's just not that super unfortunate log. I mean, I would have loved to see this game if that log hit the exit.
Yeah.
I feel like it could have been it could have been a great game, but unfortunately, Clash Royale, it's one of those games where mistakes can be very, very punishing.
Yep, and that is a very good way to put it, because it was really just, it wasn't even the fact that he used the log, it was just the fact that he used the log just literally 2 seconds early. I mean, technically, had he not used it, we wouldn't have seen the pile up that Pedro did, but Morton just doing what he could. He wanted that King Tower activation. The Executioner was looming in the background. It needed a little bit more damage on the Exy. Ice was hopefully could take it out when it was dropped down on it. Pedro read it all like a book, was able to keep the pressure up, and now Morton is just entertaining us for the next 10 seconds as Ruben has to close things out to tie things up. Juicy, you really called it there. Ruben is going to be put in an 11 versus 13 spot with 2 competitors to take out to tie things at 13 on the day, and then you and I get our cage match.
No, I forgot about that. Please, Supercell, don't make me fight Andrew. I can't do it.
Sorry, man. It's in the contract. It's in the contract. So, for your sake, let's hope one of these guys comes out on top. Morton. Man, what a great day for him, though, throughout. Yeah, I mean, he had a lot of fun, did really, really well. Just a little bit of an unfortunate situation there. And Pedro in a good spot here. Liked what he did. Honestly, that game was so easy after that first little interaction. He just had to play strong defense.
Yeah, the strong defense, and he did that. He played really well. My favorite thing about Morton is that he never gives up, though. Literally, never. Like, I've never seen him on stream. He'll literally, like, be down 2 towers, and there'll be 5 seconds left, and he'll be playing a Roll Giant at the bridge just because for the sake, like, for the love of the game. Like,
yeah.
he knows that Royal Giant at the end isn't going to hit the tower, but he never stops playing to the very, very final game over screen. And I love it. I mean, okay, so let's focus on this next match. We have Ruben versus Pedro, Andrew. We saw Ruben do really well in the first King of the Hill. Do you think that Ruben has what it takes to kind of get that kind of reverse sweep-ish thing going on here to clutch up for the Boomers?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you talk about someone that has what it takes, I mean, this is a guy that was able to carry a whole team. I mean, no slights to the rest of his squad on Queso when they won that world championship, but we all know that a big part of it was just how dominant Ruben was in that specific year. I mean, sometimes you just get a pro athlete or pro player that they just hit that perfect moment of the right competitors, the right vibe, and that was just all Ruben in 2020. And honestly, throughout the day today, he's been playing really, really well. He had a situation kind of like what we just saw with, we've seen a few times today where you miscalculate early on and the game is over in the first 30 seconds. And like you said, Juicy, that's Clash Royale. It's a very punishing game when you make big mistakes, or if you make the wrong mistake. Sometimes it's only a 2 elixir mistake that against any other deck, like with that log, any other deck, it wouldn't have been as punishing. But sometimes it's just the perfect storm. And we saw that a couple times. But for the most part, when I look back here on Ruben's day, he's been playing really, really well. So last 2 things he did was he dropped the game to Pedro and he dropped the game to Mo Light. So back-to-back losses. But before that, he was doing really, really well. Took out Todd, took out Lucas, took out Todd again. So he's definitely a guy that we love to see in this spot.
Pedro has consistently been a top competitor, finishing 2nd in 2023 Zero World Finals, 6th in 2024, and even boasting 2x top 1 ladder finishes. Shout out to the team putting up these cool little stats here. It's always nice.
Yeah, definitely. I love to see it. And it's so perfect for this event because there is so much history in this competition at the highest level. Wow, what is this push?
This push is seeing Splash Art struggle today on defense. And once again, it's just kind of that lack of substance is what I usually say with that quad spell. And wait, he's got Log and Skellies though. Does that mean it might actually be the Royal Giant deck?
The Royal, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, Skelly's usually not fitting in there, as we just see another really aggressive push here from Ruben, and maybe just recognizing exactly what the matchup is. And Pedro's just, he's kind of smiling, but he's still down at Elixir and down by a lot of damage.
Yeah, Ruben, he's seen a lot of success with Giant and even Golem today. He's just a beatdown breakthrough king right now. And you really wouldn't think it'd be possible to break through this Ice Wiz Baby Dragon defense, but he's used the Miner very effectively to take the Ice Wizards, and he's used the Log very effectively to take the Tombstone. And once again, since this is the Royal Giant version kind of this deck, there is no Knight. You basically have Skeletons instead of Knight, so that's even less kind of substantial defense to be used on defense, especially versus the Miner.
Yeah, great call there for you to bring up those Skellies, because that's why Ruben was able to play the way that he was early on. Just hyper aggressive. Once he saw those Skellies and the Tombstone come out, he probably knew exactly what you're talking about, which is just, this is not the deck with a Knight in it. And I also like that Ruben has opted to take just a little bit more damage on that right hand side. Why not? Eat a few RG shots, you're already a mile ahead, and that way you can continue to keep the pressure up on offense.
Yeah, and the Fireball makes this matchup even worse. The Fireball makes it so, realistically, look at Pedro's deck. If he Fireballs the Ice Wizard, all you have left is a Baby Dragon and a Tombstone and a Tornado, but you can log the Tombstone. It's crazy.
Wow, and Pedro getting a little bit closer than I think Ruben would like, and now he's going to pull that back. The Giant goes back so that it's not tanking for the Miner. Now the Fireball comes in. GG. Well, we just need the Log.
Yeah, one more Log should do it. Ruben knows it. He calls the game, and Pedro's going to let that Giant smack his tower. Once again, I think you're right. I think Pedro did put up a great fight there. He went for some very solid offensive Royal Giants off lane while trying to defend once that double elixir hit. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough after that huge damage connection at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, Ruben doing a really, really good job just taking that lead and running with it, making sure that, like I was saying, he's just eating some damage to conserve some elixir to stay on offense. That way we couldn't just get a full sellout RG push on the right-hand side. I'm also seeing people in the chat asking about rewards. I'm assuming at the end of the broadcast, there'll be an option or an ability for you guys to look at all the rewards on screen. And of course, this is a VOD on YouTube. You guys can always just go back and look for when the QR codes are up on the screen. Production does a great job of putting all of them up for you guys in one spot when, once the final emote was given out. So you guys can always just come back, rewatch, rewind, get your promo codes, as I'm sure those QR codes will be working for just a hot minute here. I don't know how long they'll be active, so I would probably get those rewards in as soon as you guys possibly can. Saw some good stuff out there. Juicy and I maybe didn't get the best things from our rewards today, but that's the game that you love to play with lucky drops. I know it's pretty much the equivalent of a chest. I mean, obviously, with the more stars, it becomes a higher level chest, but there's just something so much more fun about a lucky drop than opening a chest.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what you're gonna get. You might get 60 Expos, but you also could just pull a full evolution or 50,000 league wildcards or a book of books. Literally, anything is possible every time you open one up.
Here we go. Final game of the day. Will the Zoomers take it? Will they take the lead that they've had for the entire day? Or will the Boomers tie things up? What a great position to be in at the end of our broadcast. Nice King Tower activation there for Lucas.
Nice.
Lucas going back to Hog, his bread and butter here to close things out. Final match of the day. Love to see it. And I also love the graphic on the left-hand side of the screen. You see there, zoom, then boom, red, blue. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and we have Lucas here with a tombstone, actually, in this Hog deck as well. Very interesting stuff. Yeah, and if Boomers win this, it's going to tie it all up, too. I mean, this is great. This is really fun.
I like the deck construction we're seeing here from Ruben, kind of opting to eat a little bit of damage, not have as much defense, and going for the cards that have been really effective throughout the day. Although Lucas, beautiful cleanup there. Tombstone plus Skelly is doing a great job.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated by Lucas's deck construction as well. I mean, Skelly's and Tombstone with a Mega Minion. Last two cards, I mean, they could pretty much be anything. I'm assuming we're going to see a big spell, and then maybe, an Ice Wiz. That makes sense. I like that.
I'm curious how many more times Ruben's going to be able to defend so cheaply. I mean, you would imagine the next time Lucas sends in a Hog, he's going to couple it with maybe a Log or a NATO to try to clean up some small stuff. So I would think that maybe this next time out, Ruben goes to defend the Hog with maybe the mini P.E.K.K.A. as opposed to the Skellies.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, the mini P.E.K.K.A. can full counter the Hog Rider if played in the right spot and quick enough. But you also have to be careful because if Lucas does tornado that mini P.E.K.K.A. away, predictively or reactively, it could mean a lot of trouble. And there you go.
Wow. Dude, that was awesome.
Thanks, man. I try my best.
That was perfect. I was like, well, what is he gonna do? He's got to run the mini P.E.K.K.A. this next time. You're like, yeah, he should. And then if he does, this is the exact way to counter it. These pros doing every single thing that you and I just talked about. You love to see it. Man, I've missed Clash Royale at the highest level.
Oh my gosh, wow. I can't believe that Hog got a hit. I was holding my breath. The mini P.E.K.K.A. right out of range of that tornado with the Log, but the OG Log, maybe it would have stopped it with the more knockback, but this is the current Clash Royale. Now Hog Rider, so strong.
And Ruben now just scared. He plays those bats early, waiting for that Hog. Now a Giant up high. Mini P.E.K.K.A. plus Skelly's behind for...
No.
Wow!
Oh my gosh, the mini P.E.K.K.A. betrayal.
Yeah. That is straight up betrayal. Now the left-hand side getting worked. Ice Wiz getting tanked for by the Skellies. Skellies piling up, excuse me. Mini P.E.K.K.A. is on the tower. Holy crap! Mini P.E.K.K.A.'s on the tower! The Boomers! The Boomers!
Oh my gosh! I wasn't even looking. I was like fascinated by this Ice Wiz interaction on the left side. I was like, there's no way Lucas doesn't defend that. And the look on his face, he's like, did that really just happen? Oh my gosh. Ruben with the plot armor. Winning it.
We might be down, but we're not out, baby. The Boomers. The Zoomers. 13-13. I mean, you can't write this stuff. This is incredible. We didn't even have... There was so little possibility for this to happen. I don't think we even have a tiebreaker, which I'm so okay with. I love that this is a story that is unwritten. It is unfinished. And now we just have to have another event. That's all it had. That's it. Revel, you hear me? We got to have another event. We must settle the score.
I got something in the chat. I thought we were going to have to fight each other, but we are going to have a 1v1 best of 3 tiebreaker from one player from each team. That's going to be crazy.
Wow. I mean, it's got to be Ruben Mo, right?
Yeah. It's got to be Ruben Mo.
It's got to be Ruben Mo.
Or do you put Morgan?
Everyone in the chat was wondering, like, oh, only 5 rewards. Oh, what else do we get? This is what you get, baby. You get overtime. No one was expecting this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay,
Polish fighter. Andrew versus Juicy Showdown time. That's right. That's right.
All right, guys. These are the rewards here. Once again, if you guys did miss them earlier, take a screenshot and just scan all the QR codes. But so while you guys are doing that, we just have to talk once again, though. Like, who do you choose for this 1v1 best of 3 tiebreaker? Yes, Ruben is an amazing option. Do you go to Mo for the Zoomers? But if you think they're going to do Mo, do you do Morton? Morton has beaten Mo 3 or 4 times today.
Dude, I'm so hyped right now. This is so awesome. Oh, I love to see it. Love to see it. I don't know. That's a really great point that you make. I mean, you have to assume the Zoomers are going to bring out Mohamed Light. I mean, everyone in the world would pick Mohamed Light in this moment. It would make the most sense. But Pedro has actually played really, really well today. I think Pedro is a really good option. I think you either have to go Morton or Ruben. I personally think I go Ruben. He's feeling hot right now. You know, he just came out, won those. I think you got to ride the hot hand. I want to see Ruben versus Mohamed Light here. 1v1, best of 3, Retro Royale. Let's go.
Oh my gosh. Everyone type in the chat. Who do you guys think is going to be the champion chosen by each respective team? And while you guys are typing that, I wish we had a replay. Like, oh my, I'm going through right now. I need to see how this mini P.E.K.K.A made it to the tower. Like, that was
crazy.
That was crazy. I can't believe it.
I mean, what's also wild about it is that tower was untouched. It was completely untouched by Ruben, and then he finally decides, all right, I gotta switch lanes, and then this like starts this long, arduous journey of like, all right, let me try to beat this down. So the Hog comes in, Giant at the bridge, mini P.E.K.K.A plus Skellies, tower's down to 782. Most tower is still untouched. Was it that NATO? Kind of an odd NATO from Mo Light. I guess didn't get a lot of value.
Also, I have to point out here, Andrew, look at your screen right now. We have a complete shift. Boomers, 71%. Boomers, 71%. They were projected to lose by the community. They got a 30% vote before. It is completely shifted the other way. The Boomers have all the momentum. Look at that. It's going up more. It's live.
I love it.
This is
That's
insane.
Right. Keep going. Keep going. We love to see it.
19%.
81.
With the team with Mohamed Light. This is insane.
The live stat updates. We love to see it. It's bouncing back and forth. 79-21. It was a late tombstone, Juicy, that actually pushed the mini P.E.K.K.A on top of the tower. Doesn't get the Giant, doesn't get the mini P.E.K.K.A, actually does Lucas dirty and pushes the mini P.E.K.K.A on top. Mini P.E.K.K.A gets a few shots in. Miner comes in late. Zap goes down 76-24%. Boomers over Zoomers. The pressure is mounting. We love it. We love it. We got people in the chat. I think Zoomers. People saying Boomers always. Boomers. This is split down the middle. Love to see it.
Okay, and we have our match. Mohamed Light not playing. We have Lucas. Ruben versus Lucas. I'm honestly not surprised. I'm not surprised that Mohamed Light kind of struggling today.
I wonder if Lucas just goes, put me back in, coach. Put me back in. I want the revenge. And then Ruben going to see if he can close things out. Oh, I've been so distracted by looking at the camera and looking at the stats stuff. I didn't even realize that this next game thing got smaller. And it's actually a timer. Some good stuff. I'm loving the graphics that we have here today. There we go. Lucas all smiles, even though he drops that last game. Ruben here trying to bring things home for the Boomers, running some log bait. As you guys can see, lucky number 13 tied at the top right hand of your screen. What a great day for Clash Royale.
Gabriel in. Looks like we did miss a little bit at the start of the game. That's the second Goblin Barrel of this match, and it's doing damage. It seems like Lucas might not have a log or maybe arrows to deal with that. So I think Ruben has a pretty solid deck pick here.
Yeah, that could be really, really tough. And then you talk about those princesses on the opposite side. There we go. One dropped right off the bat. Going to be very frustrating for Lucas to deal with.
Gombrel's not quite back in cycle yet, but looks like Lucas is just preparing for it. I like the tombstone placement. I mean, this is good for a few reasons. Number one, it's going to block those Gombrels. Number two, you don't want to spend a rocket on that. It's just too expensive. Number three, it's out of range of the log. A lot of the time, I mean, we've seen it so many times today where you want to go for that log onto the tombstone, take it off the board as quick as possible, but the log just doesn't reach it.
So Ruben already just opting to go to the other side, as Juicy has broken down very well how that tombstone is just dominating the board for Lucas. And now Ruben going to go back to it as the tombstone's off, and there we go. Rinse and repeat, at least for the Brazilian at the moment.
Wow. A rage defensively as well. That's interesting. Yeah, I actually really like the rage here. Don't you? I think that the Giant Skelly RD rage is going to be tough to stop.
And you get that small spell value that you're just really, really missing. Now, if you're able to rage Skellies, rage plus archers, or even just rage with that tombstone, all of a sudden those barrels become so much less impactful. So yeah, I absolutely love it, Juice. Great call.
Princess trying to control the tombstone Skellies. You don't want them to stack up too much. Giant Skelly here. And there's the Royal Giant. Do we see the rage? Yes, sir. Royal Giant is not going to be quite in the range of that rage radius, though.
So Ruben looking pretty clean right now. Goblins actually gets a stab. That was really interesting interaction. The giant skeleton was placed in the spot to catch the goblin, but it actually pushed the goblin before it was able to attack the goblin. So the goblin was able to get a stab on the tower.
Nice call there, Andrew. And then we see a lightning also from Lucas. And Ruben doesn't have a big spell. So yes, he's up damage right now, but he's going to need to do more here. And Lucas, it kind of seems like he might be content with just kind of defending here, stacking up those tombstones and getting some lightnings on these princess.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see like who crosses the finish line first in terms of the lightning versus these barrels that aren't getting a lot of value. There you go, though. 1928, 2109, the two towers for Lucas. Ruben, the only one tower being focused on, down to 2428.
And there was a sneaky Dark God, sorry, not Dark God, but Spear God on that tower. It actually might be a different way. Giant Skelly! Royal Giant on tower, Giant Skelly on tower left side.
Wow, and that's going to kill the princess, too.
Yeah, that's huge damage. That's huge damage. Gombrel trying to come through. Spear Gobs get some chip. This game's still really close, though.
And that was the rage right there. We saw archers plus the rage, even with the tank in for the barrel, able to take up those goblins really, really quickly. One shot from the archer comes in, not the lowest tower on the board. 1697 and 1450 for Ruben's two towers, 1322 and 1999 for Lucas's two towers. Ruben in the lead by just about 100 HP.
Lion gonna drop on both the princess, get some solid damage, but Ruben still in a slight damage lead. Only 43 seconds on the clock. He's pressuring the opposite lane. He's trying to keep up the pressure to prevent the lightning cycle.
Dark Goblin, oh, not going to be able to connect.
Wow.
1278, 1649. Great plays there from Lucas.
Barrel comes through. There's two giant skeletons on the board, though. This is a solid counter push, but I like the Dark God placement. He's playing it so it will go to the right, but it's allowing that lightning. Lucas up damage for the first time in a minute here. There's only 17 seconds on the clock, and he is just blocking this entire lane here.
Wow. So well played there by Lucas.
Wait, barrel connects, but the lightning's there. It's over. Lightning takes it just barely. Under 100 HP, takes the first game of this best of 3 for the Zoomers.
That was crazy. Such a good job by I mean, look at that. All 3 towers remaining below 1,000 HP.
Yeah.
One of them below 100 HP. Such great work from both these guys, from controlling both sides of the board, knowing when to take damage, knowing when they need to overspend on defense, knowing how to get aggressive, switching lanes, just everything that you love about Clash Royale. Going back to what you said, Juicy, it is such a grindy game, old school retro, and these guys, the mental toughness you have to be able to stick with it for that full 5 minutes as things are progressing and evolving. Just excellent stuff there from these two guys.
Yeah, I also really liked that final play from Lucas just to ensure the victory. He just played a tombstone up top because we've seen so many times today that Princess kind of not exactly the bridge, but like off to the side, like sniping the Megamine on the tower. That could have taken it. It was super close. I mean, under 100 HP finish. If that Princess connected, it would have been over. But Lucas, he was ready for all the stops. He was just making sure there was no chance of damage to make sure that Lightning secured the victory.
Yeah, I mean, we played this game for so long. It's so funny to see that Princess interaction like be like a threat for the first time. I mean, obviously it's probably been done before, and you know, it's just interesting. Pedro did it earlier on, and you and I both kind of like took note of it, you know, and then it's become this threat all throughout the day. A nice little, small little evolution coming here from this great broadcast. All right, guys, so here we are. We're in our best of 3. This is a tie, right? We went all through the day. We had our 3 hours of this amazing broadcast. We gave away all of these rewards. We thought it would be all said and done. It was tied 13 points to 13 points. Perfectly down the middle. Here we are, Ruben and Lucas in a best of 3 tiebreaker. Lucas up in game number 1. Here we go. Game number 2. Zoomers can take it all, or Ruben can pull it off once again and tie things up.
Or, like, after seeing the archers in that barrel, is this just going to be a straight up rematch of what we just saw? No, he's got a 9. He's got a 9.
Nope, there we go. Yep. I was going to say, I'd be okay with it because that was so fun.
Got the mortar this time. Cannon does get predicted by an Ice Spirit. Log gonna hit the Dargob and the cannon. And Archers, decent on defense. The mortar is distracted by quite a few things on the map here, though.
Is this that mortar, Archers, rocket deck?
Oh my gosh, you might be right. That would be pretty crazy. I think. I don't know. I don't want to say anything anymore because we saw kind of a similar matchup. Instead of rocket, it was just like minor poison, and the bait was actually able to win just by applying so much pressure. But I think if Lucas does play this well, you know, you drop the defensive mortar, no big spell, and you just have good defense. There's no way that Lucas loses this, right?
Ooh, I like that. I like that little interaction there. Dark Goblin bait. Just that first mortar shot takes a mortar off the board. Goblin Barrel goes in, gets 1 stab. Not bad.
Yeah, and that Goblin Barrel placement, dodging with 1 Goblin away from the log, just 1 little Goblin hit. I mean, who knows? Like last game, that could be the difference maker. What if this game is going to be another 100 HP game? That 1 Goblin could be it could be the whole thing.
Hunter off to the side. Looks like it cleaned up everything. 25-72.
So it isn't the rocket deck then, because they do have the miner. The last card is going to be poison, surely, from Lucas. But the difference here is that Ruben just doesn't have that early damage advantage that we saw Pedro have before. This is interesting.
Yeah, nice cleanup there. No spell, just going to try to control the board a little bit more. And Miner goes to the middle, looking here for exactly almost what it got. Was probably looking for more of a Princess. Dark Goblin played a little lower, though. Just a hair, 2 tiles maybe off. Nice Ice Spirit by Ruben. And now just going to have to distract this mortar as his Dark Goblin gets a couple shots in on that left-hand side. 24-84 to 27-68. Zoomers could win it all here if Lucas is able to take it. That mortar shot was brutal for Ruben.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. Well, I mean, I kind of expected it, but I don't think Ruben expected the Dark Goblin to just walk forward. Like, it's an interesting interaction, right? Because the mortar, it had already died, but it took the shot, so the Dark Goblin just walks into that connection there.
Yeah, which is honestly, Dark Goblins can be really frustrating to hit with mortars, and that just ended up working out really, really well for Lucas. Mortar and Morton, all these words getting combined. Goblin Barrel goes into the right-hand side as we see just a little bit of damage get in from Ruben on that last hit. 23-20, 25-84, things very close here. Obviously, the spell power is the biggest thing that Ruben is thinking about at the moment.
Yeah,
we know
so
Lucas
right.
is going to start minor poisoning, and there we go, poison early.
There's a poison. The princess does get a little value on the left side, but Ruben's starting to feel the pressure, I think. Like, he knows that he needs damage right now. But how do you get it? He's got the hunter. He's got the log. He's got a decently quick cycle. You need to somehow out cycle, but even then, Ruben doesn't have the quickest cycle either. They both only have one elixir card.
Yeah, and this is just so close. 60 seconds remain. How is Ruben going to get the damage in? He's having a really hard time creating dual lane pressure, especially now that we see Lucas just controlling the board with those mortars. Those mortars are so frustrating because you see there, Princess played high enough to get, close enough to get poisoned on that right-hand side, but also high enough to get taken off the board by the mortar.
Yeah, and we're just stacking mortars. There's 2 mortars on the board. 1 locks on the Dark Goblin. The pre-poison on the gang with the miner now. And watch out for the knights. Yeah, it's just so much damage.
Yeah, and that Dark Goblin getting taken off. Some of the interactions here with Dark Goblins and Princesses just did not go Ruben's way in this final game. Lucas really has this sewn up. 18 seconds remain. We need to see a big mistake here from Lucas that is not going to happen. Hunter down again. He can triple drop here. There it is. After 3 hours. So many sets, so many game modes in Retro Royale, and of course a best of 3 tiebreaker. Lucas is able to take it. Our world number 3 against our former world number 1 as Zoomers just barely edge out the Boomers 14-13. What an awesome day of Clash Royale, Juice.
Yeah, I mean, GG's all around. It's going to be champion team Zoomers. Huge shout out to Lucas. Honestly, I love it from Lucas. He loses to Ruben, allowing for the tie to happen. He says, "Put me in, coach." And he just, he's right back in there. And he takes the win with a 2-0 sweep. I really like the gameplay. GG's all around.
Big shout out to Lucas, Mo Light, Pedro, Ta, and of course Riley cheering from the bench. Saw a lot of people talking about it in the chat. He was supposed to be here today. Some things came up. He was not able to make it. The team knew about it, was happy to move on, and ended up not needing him. Maybe they would have been able to close things out in quote-unquote regulation, but we love to see it going into overtime. And honestly, one of the things that I'm most excited about, Juice, is when you look at the way that all of these guys played, Boomers and Zoomers, I would love to see all of them in the competitive scene in 2025. It just looked like they were having so much fun, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about the quote-unquote Boomer team. Like, all these guys, they still play the game. A lot of them still trying to qualify for World Finals every year. And Clash Royale, it's just one of those games that no matter what, no matter how long you've been playing it, that competitive spirit, it really just doesn't seem to ever go away no matter what.
I know I use Clash a lot as like a cheat when I'm doing cardio, and sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do cardio and I don't want to play, and the second I open the game and start a game, I'm in it. I'm right back in it. It pulls me in every time. That competitive spirit. There you go, guys. There are all the rewards. 30, 60, 90, 120 and 150 minutes in. As you see, they get better and better and better as time goes on. Big shout out to our production team for making sure that you guys are able to get these rewards. They left them on the screen for a very, very long time for you guys every single time. I loved all the animations and graphics throughout the day. So a huge shout out to the team that put together this amazing event. Shout out to Revel, who is one of the major coordinators of this event, major coordinators of many, many events in the Clash Royale scene. So if you guys don't know Revel, go give him a follow. Shout out to Clint, our producer in our ear. Shout out to the CR team for giving us Retro Royale, for giving us 2v2. And did you listen? Are you going to give us what Juicy wants? Retro Royale plus 2v2 combined to give us a Retro Royale 2v2 ladder? Or could we maybe get a global tournament 2v2 where you can't pick your teammates? I would love to see that. I would cast that all day. Juice, I don't know if you're streaming or not today, but where can the people find you? And do you have any final thoughts here on Clash Royale in 2025 Retro Edition?
Yeah, we'll definitely be live after this, guys. Go check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Final thoughts. I love OG competitive Clash Royale. I can't wait to see what OG Retro Royale ladder finish will end up being like. Who is going to finish #1? The nostalgia, the competitiveness with, I mean, the evolutions, they definitely add a different competitive element where you have to, like, multiple other things to keep track of. But it is so cool, once again, to see this kind of grindy game mode of every match going down to the last HP. It's so much fun.
So much fun. Big shout out to the Boomers as well. They may not have taken the day, but you guys still have our hearts. Ruben, Morton, Sergio Ramos, Pompeo, and of course, Surgical Goblin. Big shout out to you guys. I hope to see all of you guys more in 2025. Remember to subscribe to the channel so you guys don't miss any events coming your way. Esports Royale, EN on Twitter, as well as Clash Royale on all social medias. That way you guys can make sure to stay up to date on everything you need to know about Clash Royale here in 2025. For Jackson, Juicy J Wall, I'm Andrew Guy. Big shout out to production once again. This was a Retro Royale, Boomers versus Zoomers. We love to see it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next time here on the channel.